Right, hopefully everyone can hear me. Anyone in here? I'm going to share screen. Tom, can you see me in here? Hello, Lee. So you can hear me okay, yeah? First time I'm doing this, so I'm just first of all trying to figure out how I can bring up the participants. I can see it on a separate screen. So you're the first one to join us then, Lee. Did you have any suggestions, anything you'd like to have a look at? How are you doing tonight? Dunharrow or Return of the King for 800. Okay. Let's have a look at that then. So is there any prerequisites, anything you would really like including if you could? Makes sense to give Aragorn the Elven Cloak with him being your leader and just to try and keep him a bit more safe from shooting on the way in, with him being your lowest defense guy. King of the Dead, of course, automatic. Generally, everyone would go with Legolas as the automatic pick. Depends on how he'd like to play it. All four of them, 465. It's not great, is it? If we drop Gimli out, Elven Cloak and Armour. And then after this, yes, we could get onto the Army of Edoras for you for 700, absolutely. So 2 Riders of the Dead, maybe makes sense to split them in different warbands, so you've got a bit of mobility in either warband. Warriors of the Dead, what are we thinking? So if we try and balance the warbands a little at first, see how the numbers work out. And thoughts on a banner. So am I right in saying the banner would affect everyone, including Aragorn? It's not just limited, is it, to yeah, it's not like it's limited to just the Army of the Dead guys. That's good. Okay. And then Reclamation for a few after that, absolutely. So that's 665 now. We've got 21 points. Even if we give an even number to Legolas as well. So you start with that as a starting point for us. 785. Okay, so maybe it makes sense then if we knock a warrior out, and we'd be able to likely get a banner in there. So let's put Legolas is down to 3 each. We should go for a Warrior of the Dead with a banner. 28. So we could probably then upgrade some of the spears to spear and shield. 798. We're almost there with that, aren't we? Maybe make King of the Dead a slightly bigger warband. These could almost just be objective cappers if we do it like that. Give them both a shield and spear. So the thought process here would be you have 2 relatively even warbands. Preferably these 2 want to stick together. You've got the banner there. King of the Dead teams up with Aragorn. And then this little warband, Legolas can do his own little thing. And these 4, with them moving 8 and having exceptionally good courage, with them being courage 4+, And at defense 8 with all of them as well, these 4 should be pretty good to go and move and get you objectives. That's what I would go with, maybe. So you're sitting at 28 models. What do you think of that then, Lee? D7's already very good. D8 does help, but this is getting your numbers absolutely spot on. I think without us losing a model count for you, you'll struggle to get a shield on every single one of them. So I'd say that's probably about as balanced and even as you can get. Unless you were wanting to go with Gimli over Legolas and be a bit more aggressive in a combat sense. Legolas makes sense. His profile is incredible. There's no other shooting in this list, so it's not particularly oppressive if you're taking Legolas in this list. I think he's quite necessary to give you ways of dealing with stuff from a long distance to get people off objectives that are your opponent's models. So yeah, that's that one. Yeah, exactly. Lee is too good not to have, isn't it? So let's have a look now for HP source. You mentioned Army of Edoras. So let's have a look at this one. So this is your Helm Hammerhand. Is there any prerequisites for you? Was there any hero you particularly wanted including, or are you happy for me to just kind of go with what I think's best? I've not played with this army. I've played against it a number of times. You're welcome, Lee. Look forward to being on the team with you next year. So Helm makes sense to have. So special rules in this one. Once per game, start of any fight phase, general can use a special rule if they've charged. If they do, anyone within 12 of your general rerolls all fails. Excellent. So you want a good general that you want to be charging in all the time. That's what it's telling you to do. And when a friendly Rohan hero charges until the end of the turn, friendly Rohan warrior models within 6 inches automatically pass all courage. That's a nice little rule. So of course we want to get him mounted. Fight 6, 3 might, all of this good stuff. He is an extremely good leader, and he's got the free heroic combat for you. Haleth is also very good at getting damage out for you, similar to his dad. He's also got throwing spears, which are nice to have. I've come up against Hammer multiple times. His buffs never seem to be worth it. He's also only got 2 might. He's only got 2 attacks. Heroic defense is nice. But yeah, I've been very unimpressed when I've seen him. I think Leaf gives you some very good little special rules. So if we're going for 700, character, he's got quite a weird might spread of only being 2 might, even though the rest of him looks relatively good, but he can't strike. He's got defense, which is nice, but he's stuck at strength 4 as well. There's no bonuses there. Okay, you've got the special rules here, but I think that's probably where you'd go with it. I'm not. Let's have a look at this in terms of how we're building it, because Hera isn't amazing. This version of her, anyway. Okay, again, only heroic defense, stuck at. She's got a nice little special rule, this stalwart fighter. She can only be wounded on 6s, so she can be a bit of a tar pit for something big your opponent has. But I think personally I'd go with these 3 heroes in a 700-point list. Your troops are relatively cheap if you get some on foot, so I'd maybe go with a mix. But if we look at Leaf for a moment, because we want to build around his special rules. So you've got to protect him, keep him safe, low fight value, only 2 wounds, 1 fate, very low defense. Heroic defense on him, though, is very, very nice if he does get into a real tricky situation. Save his might point for that. Don't be calling moves with him. So you can spend a will point at the end of his activation, as long as he's not engaged in combat, which you never want to do. If he is in combat, something's gone wrong for you. You can get heroes within 3 inches to declare combat for free. Now, if we go back to Helm Hammerhand, he can already declare one for free. So are we maybe not getting the maximum value out of Leaf by having Helm Hammerhand in the list? We could potentially go for a higher model count build. if we took him out, and then you can have Leaf 5 turns you could do this for. Within 3 inches, get a combat. However, it does also limit you that you need to have all your heroes within 3 inches of Leaf to make that come off. So your alternative would be get him to follow around Haleth all game, and you can have your army almost split into 2 forces, or like 2 parts of your line. So if you build it this way, it makes sense. We give them 2 nice shield walls that can almost operate as their own separate warbands, quite nice and functionally. Give Leaf an extra couple of guys to bolster up the numbers of Haleth. Maybe we get a few objective cappers and mounted guys in one of these 2 warbands that are able to go off by themselves. But the other stuff, Fearless, pretty nice, but they already get that if the leaders charge, if the heroes are charging. Woodland Creature, you're not really going to use that one, very rare. That's good at the beginning of the game, maybe. But again, you might want to save his will, so you've got the maximum amount of these free heroic combats. So if we build it like this, then let's have a look at this. So you can get Royal Guard. Royal Guard are nice and D6, but if you take them with throwing spears on your front line, you're going to be struggling to meet the throwing spear limitation. So we're going to have to do a bit of a mix of it. So I think you want them as a few mounted guys. So let's get 4 of them in there. And actually, the Royal Guard can only be in his warband. Okay, I expected Haleth to be a leader of them, but he isn't, which is disappointing. So give him the 4 Royal Guard then. Warriors of Rohan then. So shield and throwing spears on the front line. We're going to have to do a bit of a mix. It's not the easiest thing to build this army from previous experience. I have been asked this from a friend previously. You're going to need some of these on the front. Let's drop that down to 5, and then we can also get a few bows in there, because we're going to need this just to get away from the throwing spear red we've got here. Can we get a banner in here as well? We can, yeah. A good warband to help Helm Hammerhand guarantee he can win his fights and get his combats off. 4 attacks on the charge with a banner. You've got some throwing spears in there as well to help punch through. You could potentially create a little bit of space for Helm to get into a hero that was looking like he was protected previously. Do chime up, by the way, chat, if you think there's anything I should be including or I'm missing here. Now look at Haleth. Let's get a few right. They've got bows anyway. They're a bit expensive if you put throwing spears on them. I'm maybe just going to leave them without throwing spears for now. I might come back to that. Leaf could give the same order again and again. Does that mean he has to choose a different one each time? Each order can only be chosen once per game. Okay, okay. Thank you, Leaf, for pointing that out. So in that case, then, yeah, definitely these 3 heroes, I'd say. Use this free heroic combat when he's near Haleth. Probably when you first engage in combats early on, or you could save it for late on to surprise your opponent. In that case, you will be using that early on then, most likely. That could be pretty cool. We could put the bows in his warband, and you can almost have this flanking force that's still doing a bit of damage on the way in. The Fearless is okay, but it's not amazing. So yeah, some Riders of Rohan in that warband then. Let's get some shield and throwing spears. 4 of them. Let's see how this builds. So he said for 700, didn't he? So I'm just going to reduce the Riders there. Got too many throwing weapons. That is a problem. I remember there being the big problem when I was trying to build this before for someone. So I don't like it being too small. So let's put some bows in as well now. Oh. Maybe give 3 bows to Leaf as well. That might help. Maybe that'll... Still 13. It's still too high, isn't it? Maybe that. Okay. So we've got only 2 riders in there. We had 4 Royal Guard. Might have to go down to 3 then. Go down to 3. It does give us some points back, however. It also allows an extra throwing weapon onto those. He's got a nice big warband of 17, and then we've got an extra model left. We can get an extra one with shield. I think that might be the one. I do like them to run around in trios generally, but just because of his special rule, I think I'd be tempted to do that. What do you think of that, HP? Is that what you were looking for? Let me know what you think. It's saying to me there's no participants in here for the moment, but I can see that there's 4 people viewing. So if you just mention it, talking chat, type something for me. It might just be a mistake on YouTube, perhaps. Anyway, so this is what I would say for Army of Edoras. 38 models at 700 is ever so slightly higher than the average. You do see a lot of armies at a higher model count than this at 700. But this hits very hard. You've got Helm Hammerhand with his free combats, Haleth re-rolling his fails to wounds. You've got throwing spears in here. You've got 13 throwing weapons, 13 bows. You can do quite a bit of damage on the way in and on the actual charge. You might seem a little low, but you don't really need to use it to call a combat with Helm. You just need to make sure you're winning the duel. So he could call 1, maybe 2 heroic moves for you. Just save 1 might if you really need to for a strike or something to solve your duel roll. Haleth is excellent value for only 130 points to hit as hard as it does, and then Leaf gives you all the little special rules. So I think that is definitely the one for Army of Edoras. So let's go back now. I think the next request we had was a Reclamation of Osgiliath. Ongen Maximovic, if you've got any prerequisites, please mention in the chat here if there was anything you really wanted to include. Reclamation at 700. Let's look at that for you. So you have to take Boromir. I think you definitely want him with the 6-inch banner, horse, shield, everything you can. Makes him phenomenal. Fight 7, defense 7, everything you want. I did see the OGN, and I wasn't quite sure how to start that. I'm assuming perhaps Serbian Maximovic or somewhere from the Balkans. Hopefully you don't take offense if I'm wrong and it's not Serbian. So, yeah, I think they make absolute sense because Madril retained, yeah, Serbian, excellent, good. Got some friends from Serbia, so I recognise the surname. So he's still stuck with 3 might has Madril, which is excellent. So he's fantastic value, just like he was in the previous edition. He's gone up by 5 points, I believe, since last edition, which is interesting, but he's still retained everything that he had previously, which is excellent. So if you're building to 700, the knights are very good value in this edition now because they've gone up to the fight 4. Being a D6 cav is excellent. You've also got the lance for the hitting power. So I think you definitely want a contingent of those with Boromir. Now, Osgiliath veterans now, re-rolling 1s to wound is not amazing. The army maybe lacks a little bit of hitting power because you don't have any 2-handers or anything like that. You don't have any way to, like your normal warriors and rangers are a bit stuck at strength 3. So unless you're facing Mordor, you're not going to see a big benefit to taking these either. I don't think that is a particularly amazing rule. It's okay, but considering their lower defense, They don't have shield wall. D6 is still pretty good. Have you actually used this army yourself before? And have you used the Osgiliath veterans? Have you managed to get some value out of them? Do you... Because personally for me, D6 is fantastic. D7 is almost overkill. D7 is great, and especially if you come up against a strength 4 army. But the only real strength 4 armies out there generally aren't going to be, especially for evil, like Gundabad, for instance. It's close to my heart. I run it a lot. It struggles to get its numbers up anyway. So you would probably outnumber it, and you can bring your numbers to bear. And you haven't played the vets. You're not sold on them either. No, it's fine, mate. That's fine. Don't worry. Yeah, I'd be torn actually here to say it might be worth trying an Osgiliath veteran build, because the re-rolling ones will help a bit. It's quite a big range as well. It's 6 inches of either of the two brothers as well. If you do come up against Mordor, okay, most of the Mordor lists are not competitive, but the one that is, but we're not seeing at many tournaments at the moment, is Army the Great Eye. I think you will see that more and more towards the end of this year and into next year. It's a big soup list. You've got a lot of options. There's a lot of good combinations in there. It's going to be a list I'm running in the next few months, and I'm very aware when I'm building it, it's a competitive army. So I think you will start to see it more and more. So maybe this will start to become more relevant than it currently is. If we don't do it that way, you're not sold on it at the moment, let's build it with that in mind for you. So if we go with the warrior front line, and we're building to 700, wasn't it? So we're already at 529. I'm just going to reduce those knights a little. I might come back to it and add more in a moment. So let's try this. So because for shield wall, you only need 2 people in base contact. So you want to need your front line touching each other for you to have your shield wall. It's just your guy at the end of the shield wall that would be a little exposed. But if on the way in, you did keep Boromir and the knights behind the line, 1, it'll protect them from shooting with multiple in the ways. 2, you're probably going to be shooting back. You might win the fighting advantage. You might win the shooting wall, sorry. And if they do try and hit one flank quite hard and break your shield wall, you've got Boromir and the cavalry that can countercharge and make them regret doing that. So yeah, Rangers in the back line. I agree. That is definitely where I would take it. Maybe your message is coming through a bit delayed. So 12 bows now. So we're going to have a few shield and spear guys, which might be a good idea anyway. So let's just reduce it by 2 in both. And if we take a warrior with shield and spear, you can have them at the end of your line in the warband. And if we do the same with this one as well, I might even say, so increase that to 5 and 3, and then you've got 3 ranges in the middle. I always like them to come in 3s, yeah. Jonathan, there you go, mate. Yeah, you've turned up now. There we go. Perfect, yes. You always want to... I always try and get them in warbands in groups of 3. The reason being, you have the Triangle of Doom. If you have the 3 of them all in base contact with each other in a triangle, all in base contact, they can stay still and shoot in all directions over each other's shoulder. As soon as you add a 4th guy in there, there is directions that at least one of them can't shoot in. So, yeah, when you're building warbands, I think you should always do it as a little Triangle of Doom there. So we're left with some extra points now. Now, we could get extra knights in there. We're a bit tight on the bow count. So I'd be tempted to just give yourself a couple of extra guys perhaps now. See if we can get the points to work. It's not going to be ideal, is it? If I have 2 of those, I can maybe put a ring. And I can't run out of points. Next, yes, that's... It's not great. I'm not sure what to do with that there. You want Madrill in the list. If you're playing Maelstrom, of course, he comes on and he assists everyone else's then. So there's not a real threat to him being by himself, and I don't think that's a nice way of balancing it. It just doesn't look great, even just on paper to me. So you've got them in a 3. We've got 4 there. Let's reduce that one down to a 5 and a 3 as well. No, I totally think Madril is the right one to take, because you'll be running 12 might then at 700 points. And it protects you in the Maelstrom. It means you can use Faramir's and Boromir's might really to push and do the damage that you need them to, because there's only really Boromir and the Knights that are going to do a lot of damage. I'm just wondering on the model count, because 27 seems a bit low. We've got space for more, but then let's play around with it here. Let's see how this works out. I might add in another Knight for you, perhaps. If I do 3, we get 2 warriors with shield and spear, 2 of them, plus a ranger. That's perfect. There we go. Now we can add in another knight. That's the one, I think. There we go. So if we look at that there. So I've gone with 5 knights there. They are your main hitting power. Generally, your warriors here, unless you're up against a D5 army or lower. I don't know why it keeps zooming in like that. I'll just zoom out so we can look at it better. There we go. So 5 knights with Boromir, they need to be your main hitting power. I'd maybe try to not be overly aggressive with them at the start of the game. Get the lines to engage, and then you can decide which part of their line you want to really target, or which hero, or where your priorities are in the battle. Madril's your heroic move, Might Caddy. He's not doing a great deal else for you, other than helping you for Maelstrom, but he's a Might Caddy, which helps, meaning that these two don't have to waste the might on it. Faramir, with him being fight 6 now, I'd be quite tempted to try and get him on the front line into infantry. Try and keep him away from major heroes, because he will die quite quickly to them. He's got low defense and everything, as you probably know. But this line here, yeah, you've got a nice warband that can link up with the others. You've got your shield wall. You've got the rangers in the middle protected. You've got a shield and spear guy on the end of each line of each warband. You've got rangers, total of 9 bows there, which is nice. 5 Minas Tirith Knights to come round. I think that's the one. Are you happy with that? Any questions on it, or what do you think? Also, if there's anyone else in the chat at the moment that has a suggestion for the next one, yeah, go ahead. Drop me a message in here. Do you want me to leave that on the screen for you another minute? I don't know if you. This, of course, is going to be on my YouTube, and I'll save it as a video, and it'll be available for everyone to look at. But if you wanted to get a picture or anything, I don't know. Oh, you got it. Nice one. No worries, mate. Okay. Good luck with it as well. Maybe let me know how you get on with it. I think you said it was a tournament you were taking it to, wasn't it? So what else shall we look at then? Who has a suggestion for me? I'll just wait because it is lagging just a little bit. Yeah, no worries, mate. Yeah, catch you later. Have a nice night. Right, Johnny, seeing as though you're in here and watching, I think, and we haven't got another suggestion, shall we have a bit of a Army of the Great Eye discussion while we're waiting for any other suggestions from anyone? Actually, I'll show you guys something else. Unless anyone's got any other suggestion, there was something I was toying around with the other day. I think this could really work. Oh, evening, Aidan. How are you doing? Welcome. Just gone through a few lists. I've just thought while I'm waiting for anyone to have a suggestion, I'll show you an idea I've had, which is basically an Umbar army, but within the Grand Army of the South, which is you take these 3 here, Knight of Umbar. Oh, sorry, not. So the reason I like Grand Army of the South compared to Umbar is Grand Army of the South, it doesn't look like much, but friendly models gain a +1 courage test. A lot of the heroes in this list aren't actually amazing on courage. Like you got Dalamir, for instance, he's only a 6+, he's basically a dwarf for his courage. You've only got a 72% chance he actually passes that each turn. So after you break, all right, he's a legend, he'll pass the first one. But after that, you've got a 28% chance he could fail. 2 will behind it, but if you've used that for other reasons or you've come up against a magic caster, it's dangerous as your leader. I'm not sure I like that. Whereas this +1 to courage makes me think this might be a better version of the list than Umbar. However, your warbands are a bit more limited as to what you can actually put in them. It's got to be from that faction. So I would ideally like, this is for a very high points level that I'm considering. But if we had so Dalamir has this special rule with smoke bombs. Its ability to transfix any model as well. It's not just like a hero or an infantry base or anything like that. It just says any model hit has to expend a will point or they suffer the effects of transfix and have their fight value halved until the end phase. So the only problem with that is if you come up against something that you really want to transfix, there's a good chance they've got multiple will points. So you're spending multiple turns nearby them, not actually transfixing them. So I thought you need something that can draw will out of them. So the only 2 ring wraiths you can get in this list is Betrayer and Knight of Umbar. But I think Knight of Umbar makes more sense because if you were to face a Balrog, and this is similar to Johnny, if you're still in the chat and watching, it's similar to what we've been discussing with Army the Great Eye. You can have Dalamir throw his smoke bombs at them after they've run out of will. He transfixes them and halves the fight value. And then something like the Knight of Umbar goes in with his combat mimicry and copies all the Balrog's stats, copies his fight value, his strength. And if you win the fight, you'll have 5 attacks with the Knight of Umbar hitting at strength 9, wounding it on 4s, which could be amazing. If you manage to trap it, you could have 10 dice doing it. Potentially, by himself, he could stick 5 wounds into it. You've got Dalamir with Bane of Kings. It also gets +1 to wound when making strikes against a trapped model. So, again, he would have 6 dice needing 5s by 3s. It's pretty damn good. So between them, and if you manage to get anything else in as well, you could probably do a lot of damage to them. And yeah, there you go. Yeah, King of the Dead is a lot more survivable now. I believe I don't know if he's 2 wounds or 3 wounds, but I know he's 3 fate now. A lot more survivable than he used to be. So to be able to flash kill him is impressive. So thinking of this sort of build here, the only thing is I need to fill their warbands with the Haradrim because the Corsairs are expensive. But if we go with light shields and throwing weapons, maybe get 6 of them in there. I think you take some crossbowmen again in just little triangles of doom. Corsair of Umbar again, light shield, throwing weapons, a few more of them. Because Dalgamar has this special rule where anyone within 3 inches of him that's a Corsair can, and it's only warrior models as well, can re-roll a single d6 during the dual roll. I think it would make sense we put more Corsairs into his warband, just so this warband can actually operate by itself if it needs to. Knight of Umbar, weirdly, I don't know if this is a glitch on Tabletop Admiral, but apparently he can't lead any troops. He's called the Knight of Umbar, but can't lead any troops from Umbar. Bit weird. But really, you want a load of Haradrim spears to go behind Dalamir's warband. So we put 6 in his, so it's 6 to back them up. I'm going to go with 8 because I also want a banner from Harad. They're going to be my back line. So you have them in there. And again, I can now get some bows in here with the extra 3 slots I've got left. So I've got another little triangle of doom there. Interestingly, the Haradrim Chieftain can get a bow. That's not too bad. So I think if I was building for like 850, something like that. How would we do this? What would we have extra? Or do we just want to maybe go with... We've got 15 points. Nothing we can really get for 15 points. We could get 2 Harad bows, something like that. 800 point list. It's only 43 models. It's very low defense. I don't think that's going to work. I think we need to build this for higher points levels. Or if I don't need his warband, perhaps. So the Hasherin will go behind his. Got the banner. Maybe that is kind of it. And we can just add in a couple of extra guys to maybe make this a 750 list or go up to 800. Yeah, you're right, Aidan, exactly. Yeah, he's got the Umbar keyword. He should be able to take them. So I'm imagining he can. So I think you just want to fill his warband. I'll do it in Dalamir as though it is his warband. But yeah, I think we just try and get some more throwing weapons in there. I'm struggling with that now. It might have to just be spear guys, perhaps. So if we needed this warband to operate by itself, it could, I suppose. Add an extra crossbowman. It looks pretty decent, I think, that. 47 models. 8 might, considering any Umbar list generally struggles with might because you don't have any heroes with 3 other than Delgamar. He's absolutely essential just to be your heroic move caddy. Again, Hasherin has got throwing weapons. Dalamir's got throwing weapons. Delgamar's got throwing weapons. You've got throwing weapons on your normal guys on the front. So you want to be winning priority or moving first. So calling heroic moves using the might of Delgamar. Targeting things with Dalamir, Knight of Umbar, and the Hasherin. Between the 3 of them, they can kill basically anything under the right circumstances. Throwing weapons do some damage. You've got some strength 4 crossbowmen. They can sit on objectives. You've got a few mobile bows just to offer some threat. A banner to sit behind the Corsairs and the spears. I've gone with 2 extra spears. One can go behind the Hasherin, one potentially behind Dalamir. And if you've got any spare spears, they can just stand near the Haradrim banner or make sure they're touching it, so you've always got somebody for it to pass on to. The only thing I've got a bit of a concern in here, there's no march. You're not the quickest army in the world and you've got a low defense. So if you did face somebody else with exceptionally good shooting and I faced them at a scenario with like 12-inch deployment, I'd have a long way to go if they outshoot me. And I don't have the Stalk Unseen that I would have in the Umbar army. If you'd look at Umbar as an example of how different you can build it, I'm considering this. I've got a commission at the moment on the way myself for a huge Umbar army. So they've got Stalk Unseen built in, so you can look to use terrain. You can't be targeted by shooting, magic, anything if you're not right out in the open. So yeah, that's that could be better. I'd just be losing out on that +1 courage. However, in this list, you can take Black Numenorians. You can still take the Knight of Umbar, so he's more effective because it gives the -1 Harbinger to them, so you've got the terror. I also was toying around with Corsair Reavers. Now, I've got an idea with this. If you had your line, because it says here, if this model starts its activation more than 6 inches away from a Corsair Bosun, I do not intend to take a Bosun at all in this list at any point. The Bosun, in my opinion, is completely a trap. You've only got... It classifies as a banner. It's only 3-inch banner. He's not very good himself across the board. You've only got 1 might. He's really not great at all. He's got march, but that's it. You take a Corsair captain. The captain's got an extra might point, better fight value. They're much better off. So I wouldn't take a Bosun. So the Corsair Reaver, if they're ever more than 6 inches away from that, they've got to immediately take an intelligence check when they activate. If it's passed, great. If it's failed, you have to choose a friendly model within 1 inch of the model, and that model immediately suffers a strength 3 hit. Now, in this army, that's a real problem because almost everything in your army is defense 3 or 4. So they'll all take a hit quite easily. If it's going into a Corsair next to them, it'd be 4s to wound, 50% chance you're going to kill your own dude. Even if it's a Harad behind it as a spear, it's still a 33% chance. It's not great. So my idea is, what if you ran a line of just say 4 Black Numenorians and 4 Corsair Reavers, and you had them like a checkerboard. You had 1 Black Numenorian, 1 Corsair Reaver, and you keep going like that down your line. Every time the Corsair Reaver activates and moves, you take the intelligence check. It's on an 8+, so you've only got a 42% chance that he passes. So on the 58% of times that he fails, you choose the Black Numenorian as his target for the strength 3 hit. And because it's a strength 3 hit against the defense 6 of a Black Numenorian warrior, you're needing 6s. So there's only 6. So you're failing 58% of the time, but only 16% of that 58% chance, you're actually going to kill your Black Numenorian. So if you divide that up, what are we talking there? You're looking at about 6% chance, 6 point something percent chance that you actually. No, I'm wrong. Sorry, not 6. About 9.5%. Apologies, my maths betrayed me for a moment there. About 9.5% chance that you'd kill your Black Numenorian next to you. That's not that bad. And to be fair, if you don't, you could build it in a way that you don't actually want to go first. They're very cheap, the Corsair Reavers. 9 points for a 2-attack model that's fight 4. It's fearless as well. So when you are charging, you're not having to deal with courage issues. Yeah. And also, if you've got Delgamar and you take a Harad banner, which is what I'd do, I'd take a Harad backline here. If you've got, I'll put 9 in because that's 1 for Dalamir as well. Actually, you know what? Let's make it 9, and I'll put a Harad banner in there as well. If you had Delgamar nearby, the Corsair Reaver would have 2 dice. You've got a spear behind him for a 3rd dice. You can do an extra reroll on the Corsair Reaver from Delgamar, and you've got your banner. So you've got 5 dice in the fight. Some of the time they're going to charge you, so you don't have to take the intelligence check. I think this could be a pretty viable strategy. Also, it looks like we don't have the problem with Knight of Umbar in this list. Before I continue just talking about that, yes, hello there, Derry. Glad you're enjoying the guides as a relatively new player. Create a guide on how and when to use heroic actions. Could totally do that. That's not a bad idea. Thanks for the suggestion. Do you mean how to use them from like a basic introduction to the game perspective, or do you mean when are the like optimal moments to actually call them? You understand how they work, but you actually now want to go deeper into the tactical side of it, of when you should call it, how you should set them up, what you need to think about. And hello there, Jackster92. Oi, oi to you too. So continuing with this theory here, if we go with Black Numenorian Corsair Reaver as a checkerboard front line with Harad spears behind them, could do a similar thing with the rest of the army here. With, again, Black Numenorians. Could also go for, I think in Dalgamar's warband, that's the only one I'd maybe not do that with. I think I'd be more tempted to go heavy on the throwing weapons with his warband. 1 second, why have I put in Corsairs? We don't want to do that. We want Harad backlines. Thank you very much. Getting some Harad bows as well now. So we've got some decent throwing weapons going into the army then as well. I'd maybe want some more. I think what I'd probably do is I'd have these as reserves. I'd have these behind the lines. And if my opponent tries to countercharge, tries to flank me, I can get them to come from the sides. So, yeah, 745 points. It's 51 models though, is that? That is very nice, isn't it? If I did drop them out, I'm one too high. And they need space supports as well. I've just realised I've built that bit wrong. Let me correct my mistake there. Let's make that 3. 3 of each there. We're going to need some Harad space for them, aren't we? Yes, I'm going to need to drop this down a little. So I don't like having loads of black Numenorians. It's a bit oppressive on your opponent. Let's do that maybe. If I do it the other way around, that saves me... Does it save me a point? It doesn't know. 15. He's got a full warband. He's got a full warband. I've got 15 points left over. They don't quite add up, ideally, here for me. Maybe just take 2 bows. Okay then, Derry, yeah, no problem. Optimal moments, especially heroic moves. And I think a key thing is to think about the next turn. What I generally do is when I'm building an army, something to consider is, and I'll go through this in a deeper video then for you. And don't worry, Johnny, I've just seen you've messaged in here. I'll come on to your message in a moment. For the heroic moves, when I'm building a list, I try and think to myself, if I need to move first, who is going to be my main source of calling heroic moves? And make sure there's at least one. Generally, I like to build at least 2, especially at higher points. If you're going 700 plus, have at least 2 that you'd be quite comfortable and happy using their might for heroic moves, that you don't need their might essentially for something else. And when you're moving those 2 particular models, try and be aware within the game of those 2 models. Whenever you're moving them, just think to yourself, right, are they in a good place if I need to call a heroic move next turn? Think about their 6-inch bubble. Like if I put them there and I call a heroic move, am I including all the models I want in the heroic move within 6 inches of them? Just a consideration to try and always think a turn ahead if you can. Okay, so anyway, I'll stop talking about Umbar. This is just a passion of mine that I'm going to have in the coming months. I can't wait for it to arrive. So let's move on to Johnny99. Hello to you as well. Good evening. Last aligned 700-point list. You want Elendil plus Elrond, or Elendil and Gil-galad, or Isildur Elrond. So essentially, it's saying, can we try and build for all 3 of those potential scenarios, and how would I do it? How would we make it work? So Last Alliance is one I've done a lot of theory crafting on previously, so I think I've got a pretty strong idea straight away what to do with this one. We'll start with your first one, so Elendil and Elrond. And at the end, I'll maybe come on to what I think is the optimal way of building this, but let's see. So Elendil and Elrond, I'd say you definitely want Elrond on the horse, seeing as though Elendil can't be, it gives you a mobile hero. If you've got the 2 of them, you're already at 375 points. You do have a lot of warband space. The only big issue I'd maybe have for you is that Elendil makes you have to bring a lot of Numenorians, and the Numenorians are the weak link in this list. Tell me on here, Johnny, would you like me to tell you how to build it from an optimal competitive point of view, or do you want me to just build you one with Elendil so you've got it? I don't think at 700 points you want to take Elendil. Very well timed comment there by Liverstad there. I would say Isildur is the way to go, and I can explain why. So ideally, I'd say you want a 3rd hero in here. Yes, I would say you want Erestor, and I would kick out Elendil, and I'd go for Isildur. Reason being is I wouldn't actually put many Numenorians in the list, only a few that you have to. You need to go heavy. Okay, yes, thanks for responding, Johnny, great. So I wouldn't put Elendil in at 700 points. At 800, I think there's a good argument to, and we could build a list for you, no problem. But because you've got this tournament coming up and it's 700, as Aidan Hunsler says here, Elendil and Gil-galad is great fun, but it's not competitive at all. Gil-galad is extremely overcosted. Elendil's far better than Gil-galad, but Gil-galad allows you to bring more elves. But I think this is the way you build it with 700 points. So you want to go heavy on the elves. Your special rule where you get every time you charge, you want to be doing as many of those as possible. And it gives your opponent a real problem as to who they charge. If I play against a Last Alliance player, and I've had a lot of experience playing against Last Alliance, you just target the Numenorians. It's fantastic, the fight 5 now, and they're also your higher strength, but they are the weak link. And good players, top tournament players, will target them. It's what I do, and I've barely lost a game against Last Alliance in this edition. I think I must have played it 12, 15 times, and I must have won almost all. I think I've lost once, maybe. I'm struggling to remember that one, to be fair. So let's get this built then. Let's have a look at this. So shield and spear. We've got a nice little warband here. I'll come on to the banner in a moment. Just because it's a 15-man warband, I like a 6-6-3. Someone like Erebor, for instance, however, I can get you the banner in quite comfortably, which is you go 4-4, then you put the banner in that warband, and then you've still got room for exactly 3 elf bows. So again, you've got them in little triangles. There we go. That does take you almost up to the 700. That takes you over the 700 though. So 702. That's annoying, isn't it? Because they're 11 points and 10. So it may be we'd have to downgrade Erebor into just a captain for this to work. It'd also give you March, which could be very useful for you. I do like Erebor though, so throwing weapons is really nice. There's no other throwing weapons in the army, so I do like him on a 3+ throwing weapons. Nolder and daggers, he gets to reroll 1s as well. He's got an extra fate point. He's D7, fight 6. He's got strike as well. Even though he hasn't got many attacks, it's still nice having somebody you can be a bit more aggressive with. But you've got 2 other strikers in the list. You maybe don't need that. So let's just knock him out the list a moment. And let's go for the Rivendell captain. So give him a shield. You've now got 10 points extra than what we had before. So let's build that same warband the same way I was doing it the first time. So 4 of them. 4 shield and spears. Get a banner in there. You're at 792 now. It's not ideal, is it? We're just not quite there because you can't take anything else. He's D7 with the shield, and D7 is nice, but then if you're going to move him more, use him more as a caddy, a might caddy. Maybe. We don't need it. It gives you 13 points then available. We can get an extra bow in there, but then we're a bit low on bows, aren't we then? I think you maybe want more bows than that. So we make the warbands a bit smaller there. Get this one a bit bigger. And we can maybe increase that up to 6. There we go. It's only 28 models though at 700. I'm not sure I like that. It would be difficult for your opponent because when they're charging into you, you'd be getting an opportunity for a 6. But then if I was a player up against this, I would then target those bows. They can't shield. They're stuck at D5. They're much easier kills. So if I'm honest with you, mate, I'm not sure about this list at 700 in general. Yeah, maybe 3 heroes are too much for it, but I believe it forces you to take at least 1 Numenor and Rivendell hero. It's not great, is it? So it forces you to take Númenóreans at 700. Is there any other list you are considering there? Yeah, Jax, to swap the Elrond for a captain, that'd be great, wouldn't it? If it's just you have to take a named elf hero and a named Númenor hero. It's very restricted, this list, to force you to take them. You could take Erebor, I suppose. If let's try it that way. Yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe you're right. Yeah. So let's get Erebor and a captain. Let's build it that way. I think I have seen this at a tournament relatively recently. It only gives us 24 elf slots, which isn't amazing, but we can still build it in a similar way. Okay, Army of Throw, Erebor, Dale. We can come on to those. Let's just try it one more time for you. Let's see if we can make it work. So we'll do my normal sort of build for a 12-man warband. This one will probably be just an 11. Considering they're now strength 3, the Númenórean longbows might not be a bad shout. If they're going to get targeted anyway, you can keep them further away from the fight, perhaps. And we could go give you more elves that'll actually be in the fight being charged. Maybe that's an idea. That gives you more elves, and then Númenóreans now could get your bow count up. It's probably going to tell me in a moment that you've exceeded it, yeah. So let's get rid of all the elf bows. I'm just theory crafting here. I might be wrong with my thought process here. I've gone with the one extra shield and spear just so we've got somebody else in base contact with the banner that won't likely be engaged. Right, it's not great for the points adding up, is it? But there's nothing else you can... No, you've got shield and spear you can take them with. But they're only D4, D5 even with that, which isn't amazing. I think you want to keep your bows up. That guy's just kind of filling in the numbers. You could have him following around Erebor or something like that. That'd keep him pretty safe. That is 38 mobiles. That is pretty good and threatening. It feels weird building it with him there. But the Warriors of Númenor, okay, they're only hitting on 4s, not 3s, but they're still strength 3 bows now. It's a lot of balls to bring your opponent to you. If you keep these, if you have these a little staggered, maybe 3 to 6 inches behind your main battle line, like on the sides, they will have to come and engage your elves. You'll have loads of opportunities to roll 6s. I have seen a lot of people try and build an elf front line and a Warrior of Númenor back line, but then as soon as they start wrapping you, you're in trouble. But then I feel like they'd target these 10 here. But the thing is, even if they do target these 10, it's not going to be break you. They've still got to kill 20 to break you. So even if they kill your weakest links, they're only halfway to breaking you. Keep this guy behind Erebor, and that'll help with his wounding and making sure any like heroic combats or anything you want will go off. Yeah. What do you think of that, Johnny? Does that help you, give you some sort of ideas? And by all means, we can have a look at the other 2 armies for you. To answer your question as well, Aidan, so Lothlorien, I find it's a boring play style. It's a competitive army, and it's very, very solid and reliable. And it has an answer to most things, but it's very boring bubble play style, I find. And because the Galadrim cavalry are not amazing, you find most people just take 1 or 2 as a bit of a token force. So you're lacking a bit of mobility. And I think the heroes and what they do is good, but you're just relying on your troops really carrying the day. Your heroes aren't doing a great deal or getting that involved. It's a good army, though. Linden is atrocious, sadly, because it forces you to take Gil-galad, so you don't want that. Rangers of Mirkwood should be banned from all events until it gets some sort of nerf. It's not... its rules are oppressive and ruin the game at certain scenarios. It's not quite as bad as it was. Now we've got the extra scenarios, but it's still a horrible thing to face, and it's boring to play. Like, nobody plays that list and has a fun game playing it. Like, every player I've ever come up against, I ask them, that's basically the first question I ask them is, are you enjoying running this? And the answer is always no. So definitely don't run that. Okay, Johnny, yeah, glad you found that helpful. I don't know if that was delayed coming through. Apologies if it was. Elendil is still good in this edition. He's just not as good as he was now he's lost his horse. So with the free heroic combat, the fight 8 is difficult to deal with. If he fluffs a fight somewhere, it is very easy for him to lose a fate. Just before we move on to something else, and let's just try one where we do try and force Elendil into it. I think that version that I've just built there is probably the most competitive you'll get for 700, having 38 models, all fight 5 and higher. And you've got a good amount of shooting, strength 3 shooting. You've got the rolling 6s when they charge it. You've got 3 decent heroes there. Even the captain's fight 6, he'll be a good cheap troop killer. It could work for you. It could work quite well, I think. We'll try just really quickly doing the Elendil one, and then I'll try to move on and help somebody else. We'll come back to your question, Aidan. And Derry, about Army of Necromancer, I would love it to be able to be used in this edition, but it's missing one major component, which is Gundabad's. Last edition, you could run the horrible version of the Rise of the Necromancer Legendary Legion, or you could run Dark Powers of Dol Guldur, and there was Gundabad's in it. And I did this multiple times. You run the Necromancer, you had Castellans as your front line, Gundabad spears behind them, a banner, and it was really difficult to deal with. I took it to 2 tournaments at the very end of the edition, and I did very well at them. And they were both GBHL 100 tournaments. It definitely worked as a list. But they've ruined it this edition. You have Pits of Dol Guldur that has Gundabad's in it, but Rise of the Necromancer, which is based on Dol Guldur, doesn't have Gundabad's in it. I've even submitted an FAQ multiple times to GW in the last 9 months since this edition came out to request that put Gundabad's in the list. Like, when you do next FAQ, please just add Gundabad's into the Rise of the Necromancer. And sadly, they've said no. Or not said no, I've not had a response, but they haven't put them in yet. Hopefully they will. And then it would be brilliant and competitive and usable. But until then, sadly, it isn't. So the problem with it is, as well, just before I get into this again, the reason it really doesn't work is the only frontline troops you've got is Hunter Orcs, and they die extremely quickly. They've got low fight value, low defense, they're weak to shooting, they're weak to courage, they're weak to everything. They die really quickly. They can do some damage before they go, but they die too quickly. So you want Necromancer to be casting as many turns as you can, and you want the game to go on as long as possible to get the maximum value out of him. And Necromancer is now amazing. He's been reduced in cost. He's been made better. He is fantastic. But everything around him dies too quick, and then he gets overwhelmed and killed. Or he gets overwhelmed and the game ends. It just doesn't work. So I'm really sorry, mate. It doesn't. As soon as they add Gundabad back into that list, as they should be, it will work and it'll be an amazing list. So keep an eye out for that. Anyway, let's quickly do this then. So if we do that warband, I'm sorry to repeat myself here with the warband, but I'll quickly try and do it. So shield and spear, get a banner in there, get 3. Go on, let's go with 3 elf bows. We'll give him his shield. We won't lance him up or horse him or anything. This one will just do a full warband of elves. Shield and elven spear. Because you kind of want the warband to function by itself if you need it to as well. Because you're not always going to be able to deploy them right on top of each other and be able to get them together. So maybe we need to do a little warband for him. Doesn't work out points-wise very well, does it? You definitely want to max out the elves in this warband. You can't take a banner in the Númenóreans, which is annoying as well. Maybe you just get rid of these and you just max out them, perhaps. 11 points for me, you just go with 8, but then you've only got 3 bows. It's not ideal, is that? I don't think. Evening, Tom. Hi, Alex, Nathan. Thanks for joining us. I think it's tough to get this one to work as you want it to. I think maybe it's still better to go for the Númenóreans being your bows for the most part. You end up with a bit of a funny points problem though. It's not great, is it? 6 bows. Look how bad that works out. That's not good, is it? Yeah. Maybe we have to downgrade Erebor to just be 2 captains. That'd give us an extra 15 points. There's no way I can swap him out without having to do that whole warband again. That'd be annoying. And you've got to take a named one, haven't you? So we can't do that. Yeah. Yeah, 800 points is preferable for Rivendell, Johnny. Yeah. I think that's the conclusion I'm coming to here. Sorry, mate. So trying to get through some of the suggestions here. So back to what you were saying, Aidan. I'll just quickly touch on the elf armies that we've got on here. So Battle of 5 armies, you can run a bit of a mix of Halls of Thranduil with other stuff in a bit of a soup army. It's pretty decent, but if you were talking pure elves, again, Battle of Faunus is a similar one. You've got a bit of a mix. Halls of Thranduil, I'd say, is a very, very fun list if you build it in the right way. If you build it more based on how good the cavalry are. So in this list, a lot of people go with the trap of the Palace Guard. The Palace Guard go up to fight 6 when they're near Thranduil, within 3 inches of him. But you're paying 12 points for them, yeah? And then if you give them, most people will give them an elven spear or shield and spear. You put them behind the line to give you the fight 6. But then you're paying 14 points for them. You can take a Mirkwood Elf Knight for 16. And the Elf Knight goes up to D6 within 6 inches of Thranduil. And they get to fight 6. And you've got all the extra benefits of them being mounted. So why on earth would you take a Palace Guard for 14 points when you can take a Mirkwood Knight for 2 more points and you're getting all the cavalry benefits and you've got a 6-inch range of Thranduil, not just 3. So I think these are a trap. I've seen even some really, really top players put these in. Maybe 1 or 2. Yeah, Jackster, that's a fair point. Maybe 1 or 2 is useful just to pick and choose where you want to put this fight 6. But again, you've got to have Thranduil nearby for that to work. It's only 3 inches. Yeah, to block heroes and make them have to strike and things, yeah. But I would argue there's much, much better value in Mirkwood Elf Knights. So you want aggressive with your build on those, I'd say. The other one that I think could be quite fun, and it's one I'm possibly considering, is Rivendell, if we're talking about elves still, Aidan. So Elrond, maybe, but I'd be interested to do a build of these heroes here. You go with Glorfindel as your leader, Arwen, and then you've got Elladan and Elrahir. I'd maybe have those 2 on foot and just keep them in the lines and build them with like your main Rivendell guys, and have these 2 mounted. She's got Asphaleth with a 12-inch move. She can do the knockdowns, the Wrath of Brunans, all of this. She also is useful for your special rule for the army, Invoke the Brunan, once you get broken. And then Glorfindel gives you this amazing, super reliable Fight 8, D7, 3 attacks everything, Horse Lord, Lord of the West, +1 to wound against monsters is Fight 8, Elven Blade. If you look at that, the four heroes there is 430 points. If you were building to 800 points, you could get one beautiful army at about 40 models, 800 points. You've got a good amount of might there across the board there. You've got 9 might on the board. A lot of damage potential, incredibly reliable leader. You've got 4 heroes that can do damage. You've got a magic knockdown, and then you're going to have elves. That's something I'm considering for next year myself. I think that could really work. So if you're looking at fun elves and you own them, fun way of building Rivendell without just going full Rivendell Knights like you see a lot of people do. I think that's a really annoying way of playing Rivendell. Anyway, moving on to Nathan. You mentioned, so what ratio of Mordor Uruk-hai to regular orcs would you suggest? And also, how competitive is Shelob in this edition? So Shelob is an interesting one. I think if you're going into a tournament that is good versus evil, I think Shelob is very good value. And I say that because of her, where is it down here? Hungers for sweeter meats. Shelob adds +1 attack to her characteristics when she is engaged in combat with a man, elf, dwarf, or hobbit. So unless you're facing the White Council full of wizards, you're always going to get that. So she's a 100-point monster that's going to be 2 attacks, 3 on the charge, fight 7 with 6 wounds. Monstrous charge as well. She'll be knocking most things over as well. Swift movement of 10-inch move as well. I think she's great value. Venom as well, give her re-rolling all fails to wound. Yeah, I think she's excellent in good versus evil tournaments. If you're against something else, however, if it's just a normal tournament, at the moment, the statistics, last time I looked into this, which was maybe about a month and a half ago, about 60 to 65% of armies that are getting entered into GBHL tournaments are good armies. Only about 40 to 45%, sorry, 35 to 40% are evil armies. So there's a good chance you will face good armies when you go to tournaments. So again, she is pretty good in that regard. We look at what we've got here. So your Mordor Orc Shaman would only give Fury to Mordor Orcs. So I think that could be a little bit of a trap, especially considering what you're generally going to want to do is, because your Uruk-hai can only be taken as a frontline troop that can't take spears, you're going to want to have mostly your orcs on the back. So it's not like they're going to be needed to charge terror-causing stuff. All they're going to do is help you when you break. So I don't think that's an amazing shout. So I think we can ignore the Shaman. The Mordor Uruk-hai Captain is fight 5, and then Orc Taskmaster gives you that. So if you, at what point do you say 700? So if we go Captain, Taskmaster, Shelob, what I'd do is I'd probably take all my Uruk-hai with 200 weapons. I want to make sure if I'm winning a fight, I'm doing damage. It's only an extra point. They're going to die anyway. Go in there and 2-hand constantly. Just be a real threat to your opponent. Take a load of these with shields. The captain's probably just 4 heroic moves. I don't think I'd waste 5 points on that. You're not going to want him into combat that often. I think you do want a drummer in the list, though. So, oh, actually, would it only affect Mordor Orcs? It would. I'm actually going to say maybe not then, because you can't take. It's not like you can take an Uruk-hai drum. So, I think that could be a bit of a trap for you. So, I wouldn't do that. you want these warbands really to link up with each other as best you can. So let's try it like that. 12 of those. Let's just try 6 for now. I'm assuming you can take bows on some of these. You can. You can also get a banner in the list. So let's stick the banner into his warband. I'll maybe go with 2 extra spears there because you want one behind Shagrat, you want one behind Goldbag as well. Keeps the banner safe as well. Mordor Uruk-hai 200 weapon. These guys take some more spears on the orcs. And we're getting up there now, aren't we? And then you've got 18 points left for 3 trackers. We could maybe reduce that by 2. Reduce that by 2. And that would give us a lot more space to get another, what is it, 5 of them in? There you go. I would go with that. I'd say that's a pretty straightforward build there, actually, you know. So, Nathan, let me know what you think of that one. If hopefully you're still on, you're watching this. For the animosity, once you've got 48 models, you want to engage the front line. You've got your Mordor Uruk-hai on the front. You've got your orc spears and the banner behind them. You've got spears behind Shagrat and Gorbag. Use them to clear out enemy troops. What I'd say is once your line does properly engage and you start to wrap your opponent, that's when you can start bringing your animosity to bear and you can start getting your orc spear and the Mordor Uruk-hai into a fight together once you start going round. I think that's definitely the way to do it. Shelob as well then can do Shelob things. I think I'm very comfortable with that list. I think that's exactly how you want to do it. Let me know if you do run this and you manage to get a kill with the Orc Taskmaster's Whip. I've never managed it to this day. But 100% I'd say that's the way to go for Cirith Ungol. So, let's go back up now. What are we missing here? So, Thomas. Hello, Thomas. Sorry, I missed this one here. This is a list building for everyone, yes. So if you want to suggest things that you'd like me to try and build for you and try and build to an optimal points level for maybe an upcoming tournament you've got, just let me know what you've got idea. Tom, I'm really sorry to say, mate, you can go to hell with that. The 849 Garrison of Dale. I despise your army. I don't want to face you ever again. It is disgustingly painful. Dale needs that +1 to wound taking out of its rules. It's it's horrible. And Army the Great Eye at 500 points, Dark Marshal and Razgush. I've built this exact list and it doesn't work. I'm sorry to say, it's too low points for it because you're spending so much on the heroes. So I'll show you it real quick, so I'll remember the list straight away. This is a great list to go with at slightly higher points. But once you take him in the Bat Swarm and you've got him on a horse, you're at 305 points. So the maximum you can really get is just about 30 models. So even if we just spam this out as you sort of would, get yourself a couple of orc trackers in there for the hell of it. Even if we just go with basic orcs, the lowest of the low, basic orcs, get your models up, get some of them, get them in there, and then you've got some. You can get Felwags as well. Yeah, you're capped at 31 models. You can't get another hero in there. Personally, I'd get like a Black Numenorian Knight in there. I'd maybe upgrade something else somewhere. But as I say, it just doesn't work, mate. I'm sorry. 31 models isn't enough at 500 points, considering how basic your troops are. Even if you try and make it slightly more elite with your build, it doesn't work. I'm sorry. The combination of Razgush, Dark Marshal, and Bat Swarm does work really nicely, but it needs to be higher points for it to work. So, hello, welcome to the chat. So 700 points, Denethor, Boromir, Faramir, Bolt Thrower, 8 of those. Is that the entire list? That's a very small model count by the sounds of it. 8 plus 8, 16, 23, 29, three crew with the bolt thrower, 32, and then your 3 heroes. You're sitting at 35 models. Actually, it's not as low as it sounds. Looking at it on there. Bolt thrower is really good. I don't know if you're taking it with Swift Reload or not. I would say Swift Reload is what you want to go with, definitely. 6 Knights seems a bit high, but in the Minas Tirith list, do they get any bonuses when charging? Is that linked to Faramir at all? No? Or is it an army special rule? Do they get anything? Faramir's charge. Yes, it's in this list, isn't it? They get the +1 fight value. So yeah, I can see why you've taken so many Knights. That's a good shout. I would agree with you there. I think that's a very good list, mate. You can't take Boromir with the banner in this list, can you? I think I'm right in saying. No, you can't take him with the banner. You didn't mention a banner on that. But I don't think you really need one. You've got, if you lose fights, you guys are very survivable in Shield Wall anyway. Yeah, I'd maybe argue with what Aidan's put there. You maybe don't need Boromir in the list because he's bringing 6 might for you, okay, but you're paying a hell of a lot for him once you've got the shield and the spear. Sorry, the shield and the horse. 185 points. I'd be tempted to go Denethor, Faramir, Hurin, because Hurin would also protect your Denethor VPs from being given away. Generally, you'll protect Denethor pretty well anyway, but yeah, Faramir is the one that's providing the fantastic bonus to your cavalry. And it's within 6 inches of him, so I'd be inclined to go heavy on the cav. 6, I think, is a good number. I'd maybe be even tempted to go up to 8, but it depends on how we build it real quick. So if we put some warriors in here and shield and spear as well, you could maybe get a banner in this time. I'll build it with a banner for now. Let's just see how it works. We can go 7 and 7 actually there, get us extra guys. Leave him with just the knights, I think, for now. Or maybe split them. No, you want them all with Faramir. Even though Hurin's mounted, he can just stay behind your lines as a bit of a counter-charge hitter. We're at 27 models at the moment. You just get a few more guys in. And then at that point, you can get the bolt thrower in there. Swift reload. Okay, we're too high. That looks pretty damn good to me. 35 models. You've got extremely high defense across the board. You've got the major threat of the shooting of the bolt thrower. That makes up for the fact you don't take any other bows in the list because Gondor bows are amazing. You can't take ranges in this list either. You could take Citadel Guard with Irolas. So if you didn't want to go Hurin, another option for you would be you take Irolas and you split his warband of Citadel Guard. You go 6 with longbow and 6 with spear. And we just knock 2 guys out of Denethor's warband. That will get you up to a, well, let's knock out 1 knight as well. And I can then get you these 2 guys back in, actually. There you go. Have a look at that. I'd say this would work really nicely for you, mate. What do you think of this one, RR? Denethor, you've only got 8 might now, bear in mind. You have lost a might point by me dropping Hurin into Irolas. Irolas also only has heroic defense. He doesn't have strike. He doesn't two-hand and do loads of damage like Hurin can. Hurin can die quite easily, whereas Irolas does have the 2 fate and heroic defense. It does say as well, friendly Citadel Guard, you get your +1 to wound. So it gives you more of a shooting threat. But once they get into combat, they're a bit squishier to die for you. But they've got bodyguard. They can sit on objectives for you nicely. And yeah, you've got +1 to wound when Irolas is nearby. So it's a nice little warband that can kind of operate on itself and do its own little thing. So I'd say that's a really good army there. You've got 40 models at 700 points. So, yeah, you like that? And yeah, bolt throw with swift reload, 100%. Yeah, I think that's always the shout. I've played the bolt throw myself last edition, not this edition yet, but previous edition. And yeah, if you don't take it, you can just have some games where you're just rolling 1s and 2s and it's just not good enough. I'd say from a competitive tournament perspective, this is the army that would do a lot better. If you went with the really lower, well, not really low, but the lower model count with Boromir in there, you are relying on Boromir doing a lot. And without the banner as well, it's maybe a problem. So let's leave that one. Let's go to the next suggestion. So Richard Fitzgerald, evening. Hello, sir. 600-point Kazad-dum. A few different ways you can do that. I'll tell you straight away, it's extremely competitive. It's a tournament winner at 600 points. You can do it multiple ways. So Durin, a lot of people don't like Durin, but there's, as in they don't like taking, they think he's overcosted. I think he is still very good. If you were going super competitive, you wanted the best version of it. I personally, if you're running legacies, I actually really like the Dwarf Shield Bearer. If your general's engaged in combat within 6 inches, this guy can declare a free heroic combat. You can use him to slingshot your dwarves around. It requires good play. I've not seen anyone build a Kazad-dum list with a shield bearer in it. But I actually think they're missing a trick there. If you're a skilled player, like if you trust yourself to set it up correctly, he provides you a good bit of value. He's only 1 might, granted, but free heroic combats and to be able to slingshot dwarves around. If you set up a formation well and you set up avenues, which I talk about in one of my other videos, you can get to pick his engagement. And if you can get him in with 3 or 4 dwarves, you then slingshot 3 or 4 dwarves around. And that can make such a difference for you. I would 100% personally go with that. There is Mardin. Again, it's only if Durin is on, you can get the free heroic combat, so you maybe avoid him. I think I'd just be inclined to take 2 Dwarf Kings. I don't like the Dwarf Captain. He's cheaper, I get it, but I'd be inclined to go double Dwarf King and a Shield Bearer. Throwing weapons on both of them. It gives you more throwing weapons, which is great. Your Kazad Guard, you fight 5. Your Iron Guard give you more throwing weapons. I would definitely get some Iron Guard in there. And then Dwarf Rangers are absolutely insane. So let's get some of them in there. You know what I will do? Just to save me having to redo that completely. There we go. Just copy it. So that's for 500. And for 600. He can't take Kazad Guard. I don't think the Dwarf Warriors really give you a huge amount. I'd be inclined to maybe chuck in 2 more of them to then allow you to take some more Dwarf Rangers. Ooh, your bows just go ever so slightly too high. I just need to add things in really that would get it down. So if I knock out those Iron Guard, let's not do Iron Guard. Do some Dwarf Warriors. Yeah, look at that. Still too high, isn't it? Those 12 bows, though. That's interesting. Yeah, I'd be inclined to do something like that. I've seen people go with higher model counts. I've gone quite high on the Iron Guard. Almost there. I like the Iron Guard because I like the throwing weapons. I think throwing weapons are underrated. It's a little off what we're seeing at events. So at events at the moment, you're generally seeing a Dwarf King, double Captain, and you spam out the troops and you end up with 40 Dwarves. They go heavy on the Kazad Guard. And yes, the Kazad Guard are fight 5, but they've only got the 1 attack. Yes, they get the reroll board wide when they're outnumbered, but it's still only 2 dice. The D7, which is nice, the Iron Guard will die a bit quicker because the D6. But if you're against a Strength 3 army, that D6 will still be invaluable. You've got the extra threat of the throwing weapons, so you've got 11 throwing weapons in this. I would actually be getting my kings involved in combat, but I'd be placing them carefully into the enemy infantry line and staying away from my enemy's big heroes. This version doesn't give you any answers to a really big hero. It relies on you winning the grind against your enemy, the rest of their troops. So, yeah, I think that's the off-meta way I'd build it myself personally. And I think this requires good piloting for it to work. Now, good timing on your comment there, Aidan. If we go to Kingdom of Kazad-dum again, and I do the build with Durin, I would take Mardin for the free heroic combats. Again, it requires good piloting, but free heroic combats are always great if you can use it. I'd also generally use him for my as my move caddy as well. He's got 2 might. I'd be so tempted to take the shield bearer again. I really like that rule. I know he's only got the 1 might, but I'd be so tempted to take him again. He's also D8. Like it's nice, but I don't know if it's worth having 2 of them. But you're wanting Durin engaged in combat. However, if your opponent has something that can shut down Durin, you're then wasting these 2 heroes. So maybe it's better if we just take... I would take a Dwarf King just because I love throwing weapons. Even though I run 0 armies with throwing weapons. So there you go. There's a bit of hypocrisy there. I love the idea of them, but I never get to actually use them. So we have some Hearthguard. Nah, I think that Dwarf King's maybe too expensive. Yeah, let's just go for a captain. Because the Hearthguard you're paying a lot more for. It's worth getting them. To have Burley, you're not having to get the -1. D7. Very good. Let's get some Dwarf Rangers now in here. Does Mardin lead Kazad Guard? He can't, no. No, that's sad. Get some Iron Guard in there. Get some Dwarf Warriors in there as well. And get some more Rangers. So we're only at 4 throwing weapons. We're already in... Oof, it's expensive, this, isn't it? I think we'd maybe need to drop out Iron Guard if we're going for this build. I don't think we can do that. Your model count is just too low. He's so expensive, and you've got so many warband slots, it makes me think, do you just drop the captain completely? Go heavy on the Hearthguard. Got so much fight 5, a lot of D7, loads for your opponent to have to deal with. Points don't work out great. That'll work. Well, it would have done. Can put it in that warband, I suppose. I'll make it 4. 33 models, you're still above the average at 33 models. But yeah, it doesn't feel as good and competitive as the other one. You've got no throwing weapons in the list. You've got a good amount of bows, which is good, but you're lacking the mobility, really. There's no march in the list. I don't think Durin's the way to go at 600. I think he's for 700 and above, or maybe even 650 and above. I'd stick to the first one that I put together for you. Next one I can see on here is Jackster. You put on here, so 32 models. You can't hoard it, can you? With yes, you could get dismounts from Warg Riders and stuff like that, but yeah, you can't make that army. The Great Eye work at 500 if you're taking Dark Marshal and Razgush, sadly. It needs to be at higher. David, hello David. Sorry, I'm a little behind on the chat right now, so I can see the others on here. So Tom, I will try and get to you with the Grand Army of the South. There's so many options in there. You'll have to type in here, please, a little more what you'd like to include from a hero perspective, and then I'll build around that. There's so many options in that soup list. David Rivendell, I'll definitely come on to that one. 800 points, I think. Spot on. I can do that for you in a moment. Derry, again, we've got Blackgate or Army of the Great Eye. Army of the Great Eye can work really nicely at 750. Blackgate as well, both pretty strong. I'll come on to those. And Jonathan, hello, nice to see you. Glad you're learning from the events, from the videos. Hope to play you in a tournament again soon. You haven't beaten me before though, so you don't need to learn that much more, mate. Arathorn stand 500 points. Yeah, good luck with that, mate. That'll be an achievement if you do well with that. But you've got a lot of shooting in that list. You can, depends on the matchups you get, I suppose. You don't really have any answer to anything big that can survive your shooting. And Tom, okay, yes, let's come back to yours after I've gone through the others. Corey, thank you for saying about Kazad-dum. Love a bit of Aldrak as well. I've got a commission for that on the way. I've got far too many commissions on the way. I love the game. Yes, Kazad-dum is something I'm very eager to play, so we'll do that as well. So let me just help David, first of all, with Rivendell. We'll get on to Tom, and then I'll move on to Derry, and then to you, Corey. So we'll get through. Don't worry, I'm going to be on for quite a while. I'm enjoying this. So, David, let's get on to Rivendell for you. So, I don't know if you joined in time to hear me talk about this. I did talk about it slightly earlier in the video. So, I would go straight in with Glorfindel, Arwen, Elladan, Elra here. 430 points for the 4 models. Take your main infantry with Elladan and Elra here. Going for warriors on the front. For now, just because I know that elves are expensive, I'm just going to do it just 4 at a time in the warband. Also, it will allow me to just get a few bows in there as well. So we'll do a little triangle of doom there. And then in this one, let's just go 4 again. And get in another 3 bows. And we've got a banner in there as well. So that's 27 models straight away. You maybe want to give these guys a bit of protection. Now, Rivendell Knights to me, so I've seen a lot of people run, so let me get rid of that. Rivendell Knights, they come with a bow. They're mobile, they can do a lot for you, but I don't think it's a great way to run it going with loads of them, because when they die, you really feel it, because they're 20 points a pop. Maybe 800, this is too many of the heroes. Might need to drop down Elladan Elra here, actually, into something like Erebor. I think that might be the way. Let's do that. I'm going to admit my mistake. I think that idea I had for all 4 of them will only work 850 and above. So let's just... so we'll go 5, because we're going to give him a spear. And then we've got a banner. So Erebor's got a spear behind him. We've got a nice warband there that'll operate well by itself. I think we give both of these maybe 2 knights each with shields. And then let's get some elf bows in the list. So let's do 2 Triangle of Dooms first. Can maybe increase it to... Oh, the Rivendell Knights have got bows as well. I forgot about that. Yeah, obviously. I was wondering why it was coming up with that. And I think we can just have a little small warband. I think it makes more sense to have it with Glorfindel. Arwen's got the better mobility. She's not as important as your leader. Your leader, of course, wants to be a bit more protected, perhaps. We do that. And then it should maybe allow me to just put another few bows in her list. Doesn't quite work out perfect. They've got that. Can maybe do them without shields, but you think you want them with shields. The D6 is important. How would we make that spot on for... How would it look if we took a knight out, actually? Let's do that. That'd only give us 28 points remaining. That's not enough, is it? And if I do that, it's going to cause a problem with the bow count. I don't think you want more bows. I think it'd be better with more knights. It's just a pity they're 21 points, not 20, because we're just tripping over. Just tripping over the limit there. Reduce it down to 1 knight in his warband. Give him an extra shield. Yeah. Having a bit of trouble with this one. Getting it spot on the points. Again, maybe you'd need to downgrade Erebor into just a normal captain, perhaps. But then I don't think this list really needs March for this to work. So, go on, I'm sure we can figure this out. Let's knock those 3 bows out of his warband. Just for the moment. And the knight. No, I'll give him a knight. And you can have a shield, sure. So we've got 31 points to play with. Normal 2 of these. And you can have 1 extra spear, something like that. I wonder if you can get a bow in there. You can. Make that 4 bows. So you've got 2 extra shield guys. They feel a bit funky that they're in the list. I don't know really what they're giving you, because you've got a relatively nicely balanced warband here, nicely balanced warband here. They could just be reserves for you, I suppose. You can have them behind the line, but I think I prefer it the other way around, where we yeah, like that. It's only 8 bows then, isn't it? I think we're going to struggle to get any more in there. It's losing a knight to gain another one of those. You're still only at 8 bows. I think that's the way. You've got 8 bows, but you've got... No, you know, I'm still not happy with it. No, I'm going to admit that I'm not quite there yet. I'm wrong. What do we think, chat? What am I missing here? What do you think? You mentioned Elrond Lindir there, Aidan, and I think Lindir just doesn't provide good value. Oh, I didn't mean to add him. Whoops. I was going to click on him to show the profile. So Lindir, you don't really want him in combat. He's not ideal for that at all. He's got Renew and Fall Magic. They're not amazing. Elrond gets a free will point, but then what's Elrond really casting? He's got his Wrath of Brunnen, but Arwen's so much cheaper and kind of provides that for you anyway. He's also very expensive. If you get him and Glorfindel plus 1 hero, you're struggling for numbers. I think elves work best when you actually get a number of them in there. It gives you good priority control, which is great for running the knights, but I don't think Lindir is a competitively good pick, sadly, for the list. 39 models here, I'm getting 800. That is pretty damn good. I've managed to get 3 knights in the list here. I almost think, do we want to overcommit on the knights maybe and take out some of these bows? But I think if you looked at that as a list on paper, it's 39 models. You've got 7 might on the board. You've got the knockdown potential of Arwen. She's got 4 will. She can get minimum 2 of those off you a game. You've got Erebor with a really strong warband and a banner. This is a strong warband here. You've got 4 knights. You've got 6 very fast mobile units as well that can be relied on. 4 of those have got bows as well for you. I think that's a pretty good list for Rivendell, Can maybe do a little bit of tweaking. Hopefully that's giving you some ideas there, David. You said it was a doubles tournament as well. What sort of doubles tournament was it? Like, how was it mixing up? It needs to be 2 split armies of 400 points. You're right, I need to read the chat more closely. Sorry, mate. Yes, I need to pay more attention. So you were trying to get 2 400-point lists, right? My apologies. Sorry, mate. And if you take Elrond, the knights don't count for the bow limit. Okay, I'm sorry if I've missed that. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I was looking at this stuff here, but it doesn't... Okay, then. Let's do that then for you. So if we were building for 400... If they don't count towards the bow limit, how it gets to exactly 400, doesn't it? So him and 10 knights is decent. And that gives you all the bows you need. And then if you then built a 400 list and went with... I'd say, at that point, I'd say you don't want to do Glorfindel then. I'd say you do Arwen and Erestor then. And then try and build that to 400 points. Because then you've got the double Brunnen as well, which would be really nice. If these do have to... You did say at one point I'll play in 800 singles. So neither of you are having to play a 400-point game by yourselves, are you? So in that case, we could build this one with no bows in it, knowing that you've got all your bows in the other side of the army. That could work. So yeah, let's try this with 4 of those, and then you want a banner probably in the army, maybe with Erestor's in opposed to hers. 377, and then you can get an extra 2 spears in, 1 to go behind Erestor, 1 to kind of protect and sit with the banner. I think that would be what you'd be looking at. So that'd be the 2 sides of it I'd build. Got no bows in this one, but you've got 10 in the other one. How's that, David? Is that useful for you? Okay, Tom, we were talking about the army of the Grand Army of the South, wasn't it? So Grand Army of the South. We've got Dalamir, you mentioned Golden King, and Amda as well. That is 3 big heroes. What points level did he say? 800. 849, okay, 849. I know which event you're on about now, okay. So he can only lead Corsairs. Golden King's got all your nice stuff there. Amda's going to give you your Black Dragons, which will give you your 5/5. So you could maybe use him to give you the strong front line. Golden King to give you the decent back line. Right, David, I'm trying to look at this chat more often now. Yeah, so yeah, the second half of the army needs mobility. In the double scenarios, you do have some where one force is split from the other. You could use Elrond's mobility with the knights to maybe get away from the threat and regroup as best you can with yours, whilst even moving. If they're moving only like 6 inches towards you, you could back away 5 inches from them. and still be shooting them a little bit. But I do get what you mean. It's not very well balanced, is it? If you're wanting two very, very balanced warbands, I'd recommend building it the same way I have, where you have one with Elrond. Because I only used 10 of his warband space, I believe it was, to get you... It was either him plus 10 knights or him plus 11 knights. I think it was him plus 10. If it is him plus 10, that means you've got another 8 spots remaining. You could have slightly more knights in his side of it and have Arwen and Erestor with a couple of knights in theirs, but then give him some infantry as well. That would make them work a bit better. Arwen on Asphaleth plus a couple of knights is nice and mobile. That can then come to help Elrond, who can hold out. You got the double Wrath of Brunnen as well, mate, so I think that would work pretty well for you. So, yeah, if you do need it to be more balanced for doubles, I think those 3 heroes are the way to go, and that'd be the way to split it. You have the one big hero in one and 2 small heroes in the other. Maybe just split the troops slightly differently and more balanced than I had it. So, Tom, back to yours here then. So, Black Dragon Warrior. So, you want them with the halberd, of course. So, if they do end up on the front line, you can two-hand with them. And it can be a pike for you. So, the warbands will be able to operate by themselves at a push if you needed them to. In Maelstrom, for instance, if you got very unlucky with your roll. So, just say you had Easterling halberds backed up by Haradrim warriors, because if we're building to 849, we can't really take another Easterling hero. So if you had a phalanx, it'd be a very small phalanx. So I think you don't want to do it like that. You want to build them as a 5-5 front line with a Harad spear, with a banner. Although Ander is a banner, isn't he? But yeah, I'm assuming he's only a banner for... Let's have a look. Easterling models treat him as a banner. So it'd only be a banner for the front line. A slight alternative for you would be you take Delgamar and have him back up your Easterlings. So your Easterlings with the survivable D6 front line, and then you can have Corsairs behind them, and you'd have the Easterling getting a reroll on a banner. But it depends. I know Golden King is very strong, and the new rule he's got is fantastic. And he's a banner as well. So, yeah, I could see it both ways. Yeah, let's go with this then, yeah. So he's going to be the spear. You don't need a banner in the list because you've got a banner here, a banner here. They're going to back each other up. That works really nicely. I think we can take some crossbows for you, maybe just 3 of those. Okay, David, yeah, you want the march, yeah. If you feel march is important to you. I'm not the biggest fan of march. You'll notice this with how I build lists. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I try and build a lot of mobility into my lists, but without needing to do march, because it feels like wasted might for only a 3-inch move extra. Might is extremely important, and I like to use it to control once lines have engaged and give me options. Might gives you options when you can combat, strike, all of these things. Whereas if you're using it on marches early on, it can be a bit tricky. But I get with doubles, maybe you need mobility even more so. So, yeah, hope it helped anyway, just doing a bit of theory crafting with you. So, if we're running Dalamir, we need him to have something in his warband, really. I'd be tempted to maybe just max both of these 2, but then we don't have any mobility. So let's not be dumb. Because in here you can get some cheap Haradrim Raiders if we just want something to do that. Candish Horsemen are surprisingly good because they are 5-4, and they come automatically with a bow, which could be useful for only 14 points, whereas a Raider doesn't come with a bow. So you've got to pay for the bow, so it's 12 points. But it's a poison bow. Compare the two, actually, the Candish Horseman. All you're getting is the extra fight value. He's got a hand and a half weapon, actually. Very interesting. So you can two-hand while you're cavalry. Gives them a bit more hitting power. So you've got strength 5 on the charge. And Golden King is he a banner for everyone? I'm assuming yes, he is. He is a banner for everyone. So if he was nearby, he is a banner. However, Amder would also give them the buff, I suppose. Where is the bonus to their... It's only Black Dragons, isn't it? It's in the Black Dragon. There we go. So because... Can Easterling Cataphracts be upgraded to be... No, they can't. Okay. I think you'd take one with a War Drum, but does it only impact... it's not telling me the drum. I'm just wondering if the drum only affects Easterlings. If it does, it's maybe not ideal. Tom, can you just confirm for me? Does the War Drum only affect Easterlings? If you can just confirm that for me, that'll change my decision here for you. Just going to pack this out to give us some more numbers. Yeah, the War Drum doesn't say. Yeah, it's got no keyword, so it should affect everyone then, shouldn't it? Thank you, Jackster. Yeah, bad writing, GW. There you go. I didn't think it did. I was trying to remember seeing it anywhere, but yeah, I'm not seeing that. So yeah, let's get a War Drum in there. Impacts everything. Yeah. All right. Nice one, Johnny. Thank you. So we do something like that. Maybe get more shooting in there, to be fair. Because I'm maxed out on their warbands pretty much. We can get a couple of bows in here, perhaps. I'd maybe want some cheap cavalry, which they can provide. But I'd like... Mahod Raiders are good. The hitting power they provide you. They've got the War Spear. They've got poor courage and poor fight value. Without a king nearby, I'd be a bit hesitant to take them in the list. You've got so many options here, Tom. It is a fantastic soup list. There's so many options. I think just to get some cheap cavalry, cheap mobility, and you can give them bows as well to harass your opponent from a bit of range, I think I'd go with something like that. 43 models maybe seems a little low. It's because your heroes are so expensive. The War Drum will get your phalanx. Really, you're not actually wanting to be a shooting army so much anyway. You're going to march up with the War Drum. You've got this fight 5 front line. You've got 2 attacks. You've got a banner on the back. You've got damage potential going out of the halberds if you want to two-hand with them as well. Depends on what you're up against from opponent's defense. The Golden King has some amazing rules for you. He can hold up anything big. Amder is amazing in this edition now. Dirtus is fantastic. General Hunter potentially gets your might back. Yeah. And he can get heroic strikes for free. So excellent there. Dalamir can be using his smoke bombs. Backstabbers will kill stuff. Bane of Kings. I'd say you want to keep him as your leader quite safe behind the lines early on. Get the lines engaged and then pick and choose where you're wanting these. He can also throw these from behind the lines. All right, he might potentially hit his own mate in combat. But when he hits his opponent, they could be in a fight with Amder, for instance, and it could help them. So, as in it could impact them and help Amder in the fight. So, and he's also a leader with heroic defense, which is always amazing to have on your leader. So, I really like this. You've got a bit of throwing weapons as well. These 6 Corsairs, I'd keep them behind the lines. I'd keep them as your reserve force. So you have your front line made up of these 2 warbands down here. These 6 stay behind. These split into 2 sets of 3 sitting on objectives or sitting on the flanks, something like that. You've got your raiders, little pack of 3 here to run around for objectives, harass, go around the back, do a bit of shooting. And then, yeah, keep these behind your lines. If your opponent tries to wrap your phalanx or tries to wrap your spear line, they can counter-charge in, throw in weapons, fight 4 in there to help back up the Haradrim spears that only have fight 3. Yeah, I think that's kind of the list, Tom. You can do a couple of little tweaks. Maybe we can drop out like... can maybe drop 2 of these and get 2... oh, no, you can't have run out of warband space. Forgot about that. But yeah, you can maybe get something else here. You could even get a 1 or 2 dragon acolytes if you wanted. Do they have throwing weapons as well? I think maybe they do, if I remember correctly. They do have throwing weapons, right? Do that instead. There you go. Get 2 dragon cult acolytes. That's even better. So there we go. They are 2 attacks as well, I believe. Yeah, 2 attacks, fight 4. They've got the throwing weapons. They can't be trapped. They're really good at this. These jump tests, and they still get that +1 benefit as well to their fight value. So hopefully, Tom, that kind of helps you and answers your question. Are you happy with that? What's your thoughts on that? Right, Corey, hopefully you're still here, mate. If you are, we can do Kazad-dum. If you just want to comment for me on here in the chat, just to let me know, and I will get on. I'll get on to Kazad-dum with you. I'm just waiting a moment if everyone's wondering why I'm silent, just to see if they respond. Hello, Luke, by the way. Good evening. Just seeing you're on here. What's the optimal catapult troll list? In the bin is what it is. It's you don't use that. I've tried to make it work. Took it to a tournament, and to this date, it is still the worst I have performed at a tournament. It was rather embarrassing, if I'm honest. I was playing with essentially a 200-point handicap. It was awful. No, mate, catapult troll. Great, Tom. Yeah, glad you like the look of that. Yeah, I miss having my HUD as well in there. They are fantastic and fun and look great on the table. But I think this is a really nice list for 800 points. A lot of different threats for you. 3 really tricky heroes to deal with all at once. So, yeah. Welcome, Joe. Hello, sir. I'm going to decline that one, actually, for the Rise of Necromancer. We've had a discussion about it. It doesn't... I like the one you've built and shown me, but it's a difficult one. It's not competitive. I wouldn't advise it, sadly. I'd be really impressed with you if you can get it to perform. I really hope you can. That list needs Gundabad's. Somebody else asked about it earlier in this, and I kind of told them the same thing. The Necromancer is a lot better now, and he's got a better price value, but the list needs Gundabad's. It really, really suffers from not having Gundabad's in it. Anyway, I've not heard back from Corey to say about Kazad-dum, so we'll skip past that one. But if you do message back in here, mate, if you do come back in, just let me know. Just looking a bit further down here, I can always still look at it. Any recommendation? Tomar, hello, sir. Any recommendations for 600 points Rivendell with Glorfindel? Yes, I think we can definitely do that. Let's have a look at Glorfindel in Rivendell. So we were just looking at Rivendell before, so this should help me make this a bit easier. Considering, like you can get him with Asphalloth, I think Arwen is good value in this. We're looking at 600. You maybe want more warband space as well. You could go Eladan Elra here, take him with Asphaleth, but you don't really have any tricks then, if I'm honest. Like, you've got good hitters and killers, but you don't really have any like tricks. So I'd be inclined to say you go for Asphaleth and you go for Glorfindel and Arwen. It's only 290 points. You can get only 27 models. You're going to cap out at 29 total. But I think that is okay because it allows us to go quite elite on some of the good stuff for you. So let's just quickly do this then. So if we do a nice little warband contingent here for him, get a banner in there as well, and then maybe give him 2 knights, is what I'm thinking. And then for her warband, I'm realising I'm going to be low on balls here. I will go back and fix that. I will try and fix that. I'm not promising I will be successful in fixing that, but I will do my best. Only 5 balls at the moment. We do have an extra point to play with, so I can afford to drop that down by 2 to get another little triangle of doom going. There we go. That's the list. So we're not quite full warbands. Arwen is missing 1, but it's a 27 model army. You've got 7 balls in there. We're spot on the 600. You've got the knockdown potential of Arwen. You're very good in combat. You've got a banner in there as well. We've also got an extra Rivendell Knight for you. I think that would work pretty nicely. Let me know what you think of that, Tom. Is that kind of what you were hoping for? Johnny, okay, yeah, we can come on to that next. I don't think I'm missing anything else from above. I apologise if I have. I'm trying not to miss anything. Oh, there's Richard, actually, Fitzgerald with 800 points, Battle of the 5 Armies, Legolas and some other beat stick. Is that you wanting Legolas as your leader, by the sounds of it? I think there's more fun ways to build that list. You've got a lot of options. I think it can be built in a way to be an absolute combat monster, and Legolas kind of takes away from that a little bit. I'd build it another way. If you still want me to do that, Richard, just give me a little more detail on what you're meaning, please, and I'll do my best to come to that in a minute or two. And David, okay, with your list here. So yeah, it's weird that says Asphaleth, doesn't it? I have selected horse on him, by the way. It's because I added Asphaleth onto him. Actually, yeah, it's adding 40 points on. What a glitch that is. That's amazing. Great spot there, Aidan. I love it. Okay, that's just completely messed up the list, hasn't it? Right, let's try and remember what I did there. So 5/5, banner, elves and a knight. I'll just add him back in and we'll do it at the bottom. So he can only have a horse this time. It's only 20 points. That was nuts that it did that. I love it. There you go. He's breaking Tabletop Admiral tonight. And then we get some... we get a banner in there. And then the boars in there that we did. I think now we'd be able to get more Rivendell Knights in. She's got an extra warband slot available as well. So we could give her a Rivendell Knight. And it'll just have to not have a shield, maybe. Or we'd drop a boar for an extra. I think you want the extra bow, so I'm just going to leave one without a shield. I think that's the right way of doing it. So there we go, we're up to 29 models. That was an amazing spot, Aidan. Well done, mate. I love that. It was, now we've got it right there. You've got Glorfindel would obviously be your leader. But yeah, it's a nice list that I think you've got 4 mobile units. You've got 8 balls in the list, which is pretty all right. D6 across the board pretty much with only a few weak links. You've got a banner in there as well. think that's definitely the way to go. Jackster, you little swine, mate. That is, do not suggest lists like that, and please don't take that to any tournaments from Birmingham or above in the UK, because I will not be pleased to turn up to a table and see that on the other side. It's just not fun for anyone. In all seriousness, I said it earlier in the stream, but it's just no fun, honestly. Anyone that plays it, you just stand there. You roll dice at your opponent. They take stuff off the board. It's no fun. You'll win games, and at 600 points in particular, about 600, 650, it's just disgusting. It can win tournaments. It doesn't win well. It just wins with small victories. It breaks its opponent. It might get a leader wound as well, and it wins games that way. It's just horrible to play against. So I will hopefully take that was a joke, and yeah, it just needs banning for now. Yeah, some people just want to watch the world burn. Exactly. Yes, that's right. So David, your 2 400 lists. Okay, so Elrond 13 spears. Okay, so I'm assuming that's just you had a couple of extra points left over, so you've maximised it there. 3 bows and a banner, decent. And then Arwen, 5 knights, plus a captain with a shield, 3 shields, 6 spears, 3 bows. I'm assuming they worked out really on the nose with the points. 37 models, 11 bows. That is a nice build, mate. Yeah, impressed with that. You've done that spot on, I think. Did both of them come out to exactly 400, or how close were you? Right, going back up, we've done that 600 one there for Tom R. Hope that helped for you. Just scrolling down the chat here, making sure I'm not missing anyone out and trying to make sure I stay on top of this. Luke Bilton is the catapult troll, the anti-Legolas meta. Mate, I love it. Yeah, that's probably one of the few, although they've got elven cloaks, you know, so if they just deploy around terrain and all this sort of stuff, you're not going to be able to see them. Yeah, David, nice one. Yeah, that makes sense then. Yeah, you've built that spot on. Well done to you. Get your own stream set up. Good luck at the doubles tournament. I don't think there's a special rule or anything for the catapult troll that means it has line of sight to anywhere on the board. I know it's got a 96-inch range, I believe, minimum 12, but I don't think it'd be able to see them. Joe, okay, 650 Erebor and Dale list. Yes, let's do that, mate, because this is a list that whenever anyone's brought Dale, I've said, why don't you do the more fun version and go Erebor and Dale? Because at least it's not as oppressive, and if you make it work, you've done well. I thought actually when you said Erebor and Dale, it was going to be the Thorin Stonehelm and the Brandon Bard, but it's actually this one, isn't it? So let me just remind myself on this one. So friendly Dale models treat Girion as a banner. Nice. I'll be taking Girion then. He has to be taken in this list. Okay, as an auto. You can get you've basically got Gamling's banner in this board wide. Amazing. Right, okay. It's not great, but it's fantastic. Okay. It's something. And you've got to take at least one unique Erebor hero. So if we have a look at these, Young Dwalin isn't very good. Young Balin is, in my opinion. So he's got a hand and a half weapon in this list, so he doesn't have to two-hand. He gives you the control over the priority. He's got heroic defense, can two-hand if you need, and he's very, very cheap. So I would 100%, no matter what, be getting him in the list. No worries, David. Yeah, have a good night now. Take care. Glad that was helpful. Yeah, Young Balin is a goat. Agreed, Joe. Absolutely. So we get him in there. If we're going for 650, we need a bit of hitting power. So Thrall is more survivable, but Thrain is the one that does more damage. He's also survivable with the 3 Fate. Compare the two. So he's not a 6-inch banner in this list, is Thrall, is he? Whereas he is in his own army of Thrall. So I'd say that's the main reason you'd only ever take Thrall. So I think he's definitely not the pick. I think Thrain is the way to go. Let's just assess young Thorin though. So he's D8, fight 6 in this. He's got strength and defense and strike, and 2 arms. Once a game, everyone can increase their strength. However, in the list anyway, our Grimhammers are only strength 3. That's not good, is it? Is it the ones in his that can be the King's Guard? These are the ones that go up to strength 4, aren't they? So that's your reason you take Thor to give you the hitting power. Because otherwise, you don't have any real bonuses to wound, do you? You've got these reroll natural 1s. Yeah. Your hitting power is going to be a problem in this list. Because you don't have... I don't think they can take two-handed weapons or anything, can they? The Grimhammers do take two-handed weapons, just naturally. And they've got throwing weapons. So, okay. I think that's the way to go then. So, Thrain in there. Hatred of Gundabad as well. No, nobody runs Gundabad unless they're fools like me. And they want to have a lot of fun. You're not going to win tournaments with it. It's very difficult. I'm going to keep trying to prove people wrong, though, with that. Even myself. So, Ring of Durin as well. So this will give you another priority, bit of control. So, because the key thing is, right, this army really wants to go first. It really wants to use its throwing weapons that you've got with the Grimhammers. Now, and sadly, you've got a limit on how many you can take, but we're going to try and get as many as we can. So the Knights give you a +1 when they're charged. It's not amazing. But they are D6, so maybe you want some of them on the front line. Warrior of Dale behind them with just a... I'll do it with a shield and spear for now. Girion is a banner for them, so really, maybe we don't even want any Knights of Dale. Maybe we just want all of these to be a backline. Is it a 6-inch banner? No, it's just a 3-inch banner. It's not very good, actually. I'm going to stick to what I was doing the first time. So I'm going to give him... I don't like it being that way around. See if it'll move it down for me. Well, good. I always like that to be my front line, back line beneath it. Ah, sorry, Derry. Yes, mate, I didn't come back to that Black Gate or Great Eye. I will do that 100% next for you, okay? I'm not missing something here. Thror is not a banner in this list, is it? Oh, sorry, yes, duh. I'm dumb, sorry. Okay. With that in mind, if he is a banner, I would take him then. And does Girion have to be your leader here as well? Thanks for the feedback, Derry. Appreciate it. Yeah, glad you're enjoying it, being helpful. Yes, Thorin, the rule only affects the dwarves, I believe, won't it? So it's not as good. So I think Thrall's the way to go then. We would go Grimhammers. Let me just get rid of these out of Balins for a second. I'll put Balin at the bottom of this. Girion doesn't have to be the leader. Amazing. Okay, so we'd make Thrall the leader, do the Guardians the king. Let's get quite a few of those in there. I want these warbands really to operate relatively separately, I think. The Dwarf Warriors are D6 by themselves. I don't want to waste points. D6 is still very, very good for a backline. So I'm quite happy doing that. Knights of Dale, if you're charging them, you're going to give them +1s. So I think we get more of them in there. We've got Esgaroth Bows to think about as well, haven't we? So we need to get you some shooting in the list. And it was 650 you were wanting to run this for, wasn't it, Joe? Is that right? 650. Thank you for confirming, lovely. Okay. Yeah, I'd be inclined to do something like that. They're 2 points. I think I'd want more bows in the list than what I've put in for you. I'd maybe just change. Oh, you can't do shield and you can't do just spear, can you? That's disappointing. So I can increase that up, but I'm going to end up on a funny points value now. Give him just a tiny. I've got too many things in there anyway now, so let's knock it down to 9. Can I get an extra throwing weapon in? I can. They're 10 points. They're 9. I'll take out one of them. Because they're 10. Okay, let's knock another one of them out. $39. We've got 11 points left. I wonder if it'll let me just put one extra Grimhammer in. I'm still at too many bows, apparently. Am I really breaking the bows here? That doesn't feel like I am breaking the bows. Why is it still going red? Ah, there's a limit, isn't there? You told me about this, actually, Joe. Yes, I remember you mentioning. So, yeah, 50% of Dale Warriors can have bows. Only 50%. Damn. So as soon as I do that, that's what causes it. Okay. I think that would be it then, wouldn't it? So I'd be pretty happy with that list. You've got 40 models in there now, Joe. It's the most ridiculous rule. You're right. Yeah, it completely caught me out. I was looking at things. Is this a tabletop admiral problem? So you've got 8 might in there. You've got really good priority control coming from Balin. I don't think Thrall gives you anything for that, does it? But anyway, you've got good priority control coming from Balin. Thrall is your leader. You've got 2 banners in there from the 2 leaders, basically. A bit of strength 3 shooting, which is nice. Knights of Dale, if they get charged, you've got a +1. You've got an extra shield and spear to go behind Girion, because he's not the worst in combat as long as he's only against normal troops. Thrall's your big survivable piece. If you're moving first, which hopefully you will be as much as possible, you've got 9 throwing weapons. They're now Guardians of the King as well. I think that's a pretty competitive-ish list, Joe. You're lacking mobility, of course, but you've got good priority control, and with 40 models, even at games like Reconnoiter and stuff, you should be able to goal keep relatively well. You'll struggle to get somebody off your opponent's board edge, but it's still possible to win the games. I think that if played very well and you don't get some unbelievable bad luck or matchups, I think you could do well with that list, you know. I think that's pretty good for 650. Anyway, you happy with that? All right with me to move on? I'll go back to Derry because he was the one that I missed out from earlier. So we'll get onto the Blackgate and Great Eye list. So let's... I'll do Army the Great Eye first with you. So have you got any ideas as to what you already kind of wanted in there? What sort of list you want to build? I've got my own ideas what I'd go with, but you'll have to kind of give me a little bit of guidance. So personally, I think of all the named ring wraiths, Dark Marshal's by far the best. He was my boy in the last edition. I used him a lot. There's a lot of special rules, and you need to play Army of the Great Eye very carefully. You do lack a bit of hitting power depending on how you build it. You're welcome, Joe. There we go. Yeah, I can see what you mean. You'll struggle to get VPs in some scenarios. You can win games, but you're not going to win by massive scorelines. You need mobility for that to happen. All hail the Dan Marshall, exactly. A funny moment for all of you, any of you listening, if you've not heard this story before. We have a friend in our Leeds community, and he's called Dan Marshall. And he ran one of his first tournaments of Middle-earth at our local gaming store. And I took Dark Marshall as my leader. And I was constantly saying Dark Marshall, and quite loudly. And he must have come over 3 or 4 times during the tournament, saying, "Oh, you called my name," and it's like, no, I'm just talking about my general. It was absolutely hilarious. So, yeah, this edition. He's absolutely incredible because it's an evil army with aura of command. It's a 6-inch fearless bubble. An evil army having a 6-inch fearless bubble. Your leader having a 6-inch fearless bubble. Doesn't matter if he gets tagged. You lose priority. You lose move offs. He's providing a 6-inch fearless bubble no matter what. It's great. It can also be a 6-inch banner for your warriors. It's not amazing to be. I wouldn't use it that often if I'm honest, but it's still a kind of a nice to have. And it can link up well with the Bat Swarm for Razgush, because the Bat Swarm's big problem is it wants to get into terror-causing models and have their fight value, but it can't charge them because it's got rubbish courage. It's only courage 8+. So you've only got 42% chance you can actually charge the terror-causing model that you want to have the fight value of. But no, Dark Marshall solves that problem for you because he makes everything fearless. And the bat will always reliably go into it. So you can put Bat Swarm into a big thing, go in with Razgush, call a heroic strength. You win the fight. He's fight 6. You can do a load of damage from strength 8. There you go. You're laughing. The rest of the list requires a lot of careful play because you're going to lose the general grind. Anyway, right. Let's have a look at your Blackgate list then that you're leaning more towards. So Blackgate, and you wanted this at 750, wasn't it? So you had to take the Troll Chieftain and Mouth of Sauron. 750, because I think the Troll Chieftain leader is extremely good value. However, the Troll Chieftain you take additionally alongside it is not. It's still a good monster, but it's only 3 attacks. You've only got the 2 might. It can't. It won't reliably win enough fights for you. Yeah, that was obviously Will, wasn't it, Aidan? The Endrin Master. It's Will. If somebody's bringing up Lake Town, it's Will. But we love you for it. And Survivors is a much better list than people realise. Its only big problem it's got is its troops have no hitting power. So there we go. Simple to play, definitely. Yeah, I agree with you there, Derry. They're all useful, quirky special rules. But I wouldn't fall into the trap of taking one of those. The Morannon Captain's a bit more expensive, but it's strength 5, which is quite nice. So if you come up against some dwarves, the captain could actually do a bit of work for you. I would be inclined to take a Mordor Orc Shaman just to give you that fury. I think you do need it. Also having a cheeky extra transfix maybe in the back pocket could be useful. So let's try it with that. I'd also take the 2-handed weapon on the Morannon Orc Captain. So let's have a look at the build now then. So you're very limited to what you can actually take in this list. So you want to take, of course, a load of Morannons. Let's copy that out and go for... Again, I think it's worth having everyone as D6, because if I play against a list like Blackgate, and I've faced it many times, especially in the first 6 months, it was quite a popular competitive list. Anyone that took them without the shield, I would intentionally target the sphere line and wrap them and just try and minimize my engagements with the D6 models and maximize my engagements with the D5 models. So I think it is worth doing that. I think you do need a banner in the list. It just needs to follow around your chieftain at all times. It needs to just be his shadow. Let's get out some more guys. So if we go for 12 of them, again, shield and spear that. You can take a wag on him. Maybe not. Oh, I can only take 6. Okay, well, he's quite limited there, isn't it? And then the last warband I've left on purpose is Mouth of Sauron. So we're already at 37 models. You're at D6. We can get another load of Morannons in. I was ideally wanting to see if I could get you spot on. There we go. So, Derry, hopefully that helps you. I think that's the spot on build to go with. I'll just zoom out a bit. I don't know why it does that. It's so weird. So, Troll Chieftain leader, he's amazing. Real big threat for your opponent. Banner following around like glue the whole time. Mouth of Sauron, although it could be nice to have him mounted to do a late run to go get an objective or something, or stand near an objective, it's very, very expensive, and he's not the greatest in combat. He's okay, but he's only 3 attacks on the charge. You generally want to use his might for other stuff as well. Morannon Orc Captain will be a good infantry clearer. And then you've got the Orc Shaman just to give you a bit of fury. I think that is about as optimal as it's possible to get for the Blackgate. 45 models, everything D6 or higher, except the Shaman, I think, maybe. I think that's that could be the one for you. Happy with that, Derry? Any questions or anything further on that you want? I don't think the Taskmaster is worth it. No. I think the Captain, although you've got the potential with the Taskmaster of getting more back, the Taskmaster isn't really going to do much else for you. You're not really going to get much value out of him. And what I find when I run the Taskmaster, because I've tried it quite a bit, including a tournament in the last 2 weeks, it'll have a good game and then a bad game. And when it has the good game, you'll maybe get 2 or 3 might, and you think, oh, this is really great and worth it. But that is literally all he's bringing to your army. Whereas on the games he has a bad game, and you don't roll the 4 pluses, it's really bad, and you feel it quickly. In this list, it's not too bad if you go second, because everything's D6. There's nothing that's really weak and vulnerable to be targeted. You keep your Mouth of Sauron and your Shaman behind the lines very safe, with plenty of layers padding to stop your opponent getting to them. Your Troll Chieftain is one hell of a threat to your opponent. There's not many things that can go into him reliably that are going to deal with him. And even if they do, you've got Mouth of Sauron and even the Shaman, if you wanted, to try and transfix them and stop them doing something to him. In the rare occasion they set up a really nasty attack on your Chieftain. He's 4 wounds, he's D8, he's fight 8. He's a monster to deal with, quite literally. So I don't think the Taskmaster works in this list. The Ring Wraith is, I think it's more of a trap. So if we look at the Ring Wraith, this version of him, he's only got 2 might. You don't have that many dice on the charge. It can do some damage, and it's nice having the casting. If you were to take the Ring Wraith, you'd want to take it not on the Fell Beast. The Fell Beast is what's making it a bit of a problem. If you're putting him in combat, you're losing will. You want him to be using for casting, but then if he gets into combat and you lose a move off, it can go down really quickly. And with 1 wound, 2 fate, you're only fight 5. You've got nothing extra to help you. I think it's a bit of a problem. So I wouldn't go near that. No, personally. So just having a bit of a look further up. Going back to other people. Sorry, I'm just scrolling back up through here. So Joe Partridge, sorry mate, I didn't mean to ignore yours. Yours was quite a while ago. So Lothlorien at 800 points. Interesting one. Yeah, we can do that. let's have a look at that. So Lothlorien at 800. So if we go for the double caster build, I think Haldir is the obvious choice, and Rumil. The mirror gives you priority control, but really you're not wanting to get either of your two heroes into combat that have got a lot of fate. The only one that could really benefit from it is Rumil. I think 25 points is a lot for what it does for you, but I don't know. I'm maybe a bit cautious about going for that one. Don't think you need the Elven Cloak with him. You should have a good amount of shooting in this list. We're going to leave the mirror for now. We might come back to it. But let's get some building going. So definitely want a Wood Elf Sentinel in the list. Maybe 800 we take 2 instead of the mirror. I think that could provide more value for you. We'll just see how the build goes for now. So these Lothlorien warriors as well, these are the ones that have got throwing weapons, I believe. I just want to check them out for a moment, if they are what I think they are. So they're very, very low defense, but they've got throwing weapons. If you take the mirror, you could take some of these and give yourself priority control, and then you're going to get to use these throwing weapons quite a lot. Oops, I've accidentally taken quite a few of them. We'll come back to that, though. I'll think about it. Let's take some shield guys. Derek, if you were considering the Great Eye and you're wanting multiple casters, if you're looking at Mouth of Sauron, I would actually suggest you look at Musga. Musga is the same amount of will as Mouth of Sauron. Casts Transfix on a 4. He can also do Wither and I believe it's Drain Courage on a 3. Very, very useful. But he can also get will back for you. He's got a spear, so he can be a spear support, or you can safely put him into a combat with like a big hero or something of yours. Make sure he gets the kill and wins the fight. But then he can get will back and actually do more for you. He's also got heroic defense, which can be very useful. He's got 2 might, 4 will, 1 fate, exactly the same as Mouth of Sauron. I would much rather take Musga in a list than Mouth of Sauron. And I believe he's either the same price or cheaper. So, yeah, have a look at that. But anyway, let's keep looking at this here. So the Lorien Guard are traps. Do not take this. It's a waste of a point. Shield and Elven Spear, and then we want some Guards of the Galadrim Court, because these are your fight 6. Maybe put 4 of them in there, and then let's get a banner in there as well. That's a nice big chunky warband for her. We'll do maybe a slightly smaller one for him. Shield and Elven Spear. Let's go for 2 Galadrim Court with him. I think we do need some Galadrim Knights mounted. We're already at the 800 here, so that is bad, isn't it? I think I'll have to drop a hero. If we're not building with the mirror, I think we'd drop Rumil out. I'd rather have Haldir, I think, in that list. And I think we'll drop a Sentinel as well. So with Haldir, let's get some... I think we give him the cloak now, maybe, if we're going to make him more of the shooting force. Not great for points, is it, there? They're 18. I've got to give him a shield and everything. Well, actually, no. I'd give him a bow, I think, is more useful. I think that's the one there, something like that. So, you've got a really strong core there. They can all 2-hand on the front if you needed them to as well, which I'd possibly encourage. You've got the Wood Elf Sentinel to do some shenanigans. You can also give yourself a terror bubble, which could be really useful. You've got 6 Guards of the Gladrim Court that can either double pike support where you need it, or you can just stick a fight 6 space support where you need it. Haldir with the Elf Bow plus them gives you 11 bows in the list. You've got the Sentinel that shoots, the 2 Gladrim Knights to move around and shoot, and then him with another 9 shots coming from these. Haldir can also 2-hand, which I'd recommend. If you do get into something big, it's transfixed and you've not got much threat, you can go in with him, 2-hand with him, strike up with him. I think Haldir is the essential pick to go alongside these two. Celeborn gives you the +1 to wound. It's a 40 model Lothlorien list. It is a nasty list to deal with, is that? I think that's very, very good. I think the only thing I might do is I'd be tempted to drop that down to 4 and put those 3. You know, keep that at 6, but I'd just put 1 elf with bow into that list. You can always have it just sat on an objective or something like that. Or actually, you know what? I'm going to change my mind again and say we can probably take off one of each of them and get a little triangle of doom, and that increases your bow fire as well. I think that's better. So correction, that'd be the way to go for an 800 Lothlorien. So Paddy, if you're watching as well, my mate Paddy that only ever runs Lothlorien pretty much, the bane of my life face, slowly dragging my way through elf after elf. Yeah, this is an 800 list for you. Anyway, just looking at the comments again here, sorry. So would you try to go double banner? No worries, Joe. Glad you like it. You're welcome. And Aidan, would you try and go double banner? No, absolutely not. I am not a believer in double banner. I have a video on this channel called Sod the Banner, and I believe you need a banner in many, many armies in the game. I think more than 50% of the armies in this game, you need to take a banner, whether it's a hero banner or whether it's a normal banner. But I think there's a very good argument and case for about 20, 30, maybe even pushing towards 40% of lists in this game. You're actually not getting the benefit you think you're getting from having a banner. And again, a consideration I always make when I'm building a list is if I don't think the list needs a banner, if it's a low fight value army and I'm not relying on a big hero that I really need to be reliable, I don't think you need a banner. But then I think to myself, okay, if I'm not going to have a banner, is my army able to get rid of my opponent's banner? Do I have ways to get to my opponent's banner? Do I have tricks, shenanigans, magic, good mobility, movement, numbers to wrap and trap and slowly get to the banner that way? Do I have a way of getting rid of my opponent's banner? I generally will build every single list I ever go to any tournament with a good, reliable way to get rid of my opponent's banners. Even if it's just me having a lot of mobility. Just mobility gives you a lot of threat potential. I'm not saying you need to have a double compel and a black dart and all this stuff going off to get rid of a banner. Don't do stuff like that. That's a bit too oppressive and over the top. But do you trust yourself as a player with your list to have a decent chance of getting rid of your opponent's banner? If so, and your list isn't really getting a big benefit from having a banner, don't even take one. But never take 2 banners. I don't think any list ever needs 2 banners unless you're running at like 1,000 points. 900,000 points, maybe there's an argument for 2 because your line is so big, especially if you're running elves or Easterlings or something like that and you've got a really high fight value. Makes sense to have a banner, 2 banners, but that is about it. And yeah, Derry, even without a list, what units are worth using as the basic infantry in Army the Great Eye? Morannons are very expensive and they're quite poor. They're quite poor value in general. Let me just zoom this back in and let's go to Army the Great Eye again. So I'll just open this up for a second just so I can So if we go through the troop choices here, right? Blackguard of Barad, completely disregard them. They're far too expensive. When they die, it just hurts. And they don't do enough damage for you. It's not good enough. Black Numenorians, a D6. They give you terror. You've got to run a ring wraith in this list. They will actually get the benefit of it. I don't think you want an entire front line of Black Numenorians because you've got no hitting power. They only hit at strength 3 and they can't do anything about that. I would say you want in every Army of the Great Eye list 600 or above points. I'd take 6 to 8 Black Numenorians and I'd probably take them in the... If I was building his warband, for instance, I'd build 6 of these like that and then I'd just take... not 6 more of them. I'd take 6 Orc Spears, something like that. And then I'd probably take some Black Numenorian Knights. So most people don't rate these, and they've actually gone up in price, which is ridiculous. They were 18 points last edition, they're now 20. However, the Fight 4 with a lance is late in games. They are a cavalry model with terror. The only, I believe, cavalry model troop with terror. That is a problem. Every time your opponent wins a move off or wins priority, they really, really have to consider this threat. I need to shut down this model. I can't afford not to. Like, they can afford to not charge your Black Numenorian warriors. They can't afford to not charge your Black Numenorian knights because you will charge in and do damage. These are good damage dealers for you. And they work really nicely with his Harbinger of Evil. So it's just good. So that's sort of how I build his warband. When you go to then the next person in the army, get Razgush, get Bat Swarm. When you're looking down here, maybe getting 2 Fellwargs to give yourself a bit of mobility. But then the other 12, going back down the list, the Morannons are 9, 10 points with Wargate, and all you're getting from them is a slightly higher defense and strength. They're only fight 3, rubbish fight value. They're not great value. The Mordor Urukai, okay, they can get 2-handed weapons, hit from strength 4, almost strength 6 with the 2-hander. But again, they're not good enough. They're too expensive. I'd go with just Mordor Orcs. This Army of the Great Eye wants to be a big numbers army. So there's not many armies that now run strength 2 shooting. The most shooting armies are strength 3. So you've got dwarves with rangers that are nuts now. You've got elves with strength 3 shooting. You've got Urukai with crossbow. You've got dwarves with crossbows. You've got Esgaroth bows in Dale. You've got throwing weapons coming in from like prowlers and stuff like that. Iron Guard, strength 3. Anyone that only has strength 2 shooting in their list, they're generally not running it as a shooting army because they know it's not that good shooting. The only 2 exceptions to that is if somebody ran Fiefdom's Blackroot Vale or any army that includes Harad Bowmen, because they're strength 2 and you can get Master of Poisons off the Betrayer and re-rolling wounds and all this. But other than that, you don't see much strength 2 shooting about now because it's not very good and people know that, and there's a lot more strength 3 out there. So even if you have Mordor Orcs with shields, their strength, their defense 5 is not actually getting you that much. So I'd go just heavy on the 2-handers. If you own 2-handers, I'd go heavy on 2-handers and go like that. And for every other warband you add in free might, a load of Mordor Orc, 2-handers. Fights, you're going to do damage. If you lose fights, they're going to die. But that's fine. You've got loads of numbers. Look at that. I've only built 3 warbands there. I've not finished it. And we're already at 45 models at only 660 points. And that is a good army. You've got threat to shut down leader. You've got 8 might on the board. You've got a fantastic caster and leader. You've got a fearless 6-inch bubble. You've got a bit of a terror. You've got 3 really heavy hitting mobile units here. All right, you got no shooting. I'd probably take 3 trackers in the next warband with whatever person I take. You can even change Gorbag's warband, to be fair. We could just go knock that down to 4 each. You can get yourself 3 trackers in there. And then you've got points you could even put in a drummer to get yourself marching up the board as well. There you go. Something like that. And you're getting closer to the 700 mark. So yeah, something like that. Hopefully that helps you, Derek. So boar for life, boar for life. I'm assuming you're from Sweden, perhaps, or something similar. Is Dragons of the North any way competitive, or would you just go Moria if you want to play 1 to 2 dragons? Personally, I have a problem with 3 things in this. Well, sorry, I'll change that. I have a problem with 4 things in this game right now, which is eagles with their stupid screech. Rangers of Mirkwood need some sort of them being such an oppressive, unfun game to play against. Dale need their +1 to wound, completely random +1, completely removing from the game. They should not be brilliant in combat when they're so cheap. You shouldn't have essentially strength 5 on all your basic guys that are very cheap when you're a shooting army, and there's no reason for them to be so good at wounding. That's annoying. And my 4th problem is with the dragon profile. So not the list. Moria is fantastic, and it's got so many things in it. I love what they've done with Durbers and all these sort of things. But the dragon profile is a bit busted at the moment. If you're considering running dragons at tournaments, please reconsider it. It's not a fun experience for anyone. You're not... Okay, the dragon requires a slight element of skill into how you move it around, and it's got a big base and all this, but if you take fly and breathe fire on it, you can just jump around and breathe fire at people all game, and it's... Especially if you took Dragons of the North. Yes, you've got to take different things on them, but you've still got breathe fire in the list. And it's been overcooked by GW. They've made a mistake with it. It needs correcting, fixing in some way. So I'd just say don't run it. If you were going to run it, run 1 dragon in Moria. Don't do Dragons of the North. It's not a fun game for anyone. And because the profile's been so overcooked, I'd just say if you're winning games, you're not winning really on skill. It's not a great experience for the opponent. You don't come out of it feeling like you've got a great sense of achievement. They just think they've wasted an hour, 2 hours of their life, whatever, in the tournament. It's not great. They're the 4 things in the game that I see as a real problem at the moment. Luckily, there's a very big stigmatism against eagles. You only get the odd stubborn person that's still taking it, and they deserve all the criticism they get. Rangers of Mirkwood, you don't see it at events really other than about 600 points. And if you know that it's going to appear at that level, just be aware of it. If you go to a 550 to 650 tournament, anywhere in that range, just plan for Rangers of Mirkwood. There's generally always 1 swine that takes it. Dale, you can't do anything about at the minute. It's just a disgusting list. It'll just lose some scenarios because it doesn't have much mobility and it won't get objectives and stuff. It's not as strong as it was when we only had the 6 scenarios. And then the dragon profile, it's just been overcooked to the breathe fire. The rest of the profile is fine. I love the Don't Have Strike. I like the Fight 8. I like all the other rules they've got. It's just the breathe fire has been a bit overcooked. That needs changing in some way. So that's my 2 cents on it. Jan Swiatek, I think that's how you pronounce it. Polish name, I believe. Please correct me on that pronunciation. Best competitive army for Easterlings. I'm personally a big fan of Amder's Easterlings list because you can get the buff more well-rounded because you can get the Easterling Dragon Knight. So as good as Ratabe and Brogier are, and they're amazingly cost-effective, and what they do is extremely good for the army, both of them in their own ways. You're very limited because you have to take the Dragon Emperor. He's the only one that provides the fight value buff, so you're very, very stuck as a bubble. Whereas Amder, I think you've got a lot more viability to be a more aggressive, mobile force. I would not touch Easterling captains. I don't think you need the War Priest. You get Fury Easterling, but I don't think you really need that. They've got decent-ish courage anyway. It's not horrendous. If you take all of these mounted, they are 3 attacks, 4 attacks on the charge, fight 6. They've got the Black Dragon keyword. So any Eastlings, you can have these as separate warbands that will work together really well. So you can have Black Dragon Warriors here. Get 6 of them in there. Black Dragon, Eastling, 6 of them in there. And there's a banner in the list for you as well. Amazing. Black Dragon Warriors, here we go. Maybe let's try 10 of those. We'll get a war drum in there as well. Actually, let's do that in a minute. Let's get the banner first. Let's just put a banner in there. You can probably afford in his warband as well to not have all of them like that. You probably just, let's have 4 on the front line. Then you just have some cheaper Easterling warriors. Save some points. Makes sense, right? Maybe get 8 of them. Eastern warrior with a banner. They will stay close together there. Then you can have Cataphract with a war drum. And there you go. Look at that. You've got a nice 700-point list. So 7 might on the board. You've got 3. These 2 are incredible at dealing damage to infantry when they win the fights. You got such a strong, solid core. They can kind of operate themselves because all of these are fight 5 because they'll be nearby these. You got the war drum to get yourself up the board. You got the war drake just to give you a bit of fun. See if you can pull it off. You got the banner. All right, you don't need it because you've got Amber here, but you can use this banner to go with these. It's a 30 model list. Very difficult to break down. I think that's a decent list. When you compare that to Host of the Dragon Emperor and you try and build the same sort of level, it's could use a few bows. Yeah, Johnny, you're right, probably. It's because I've run out of warband space, to be fair. Could maybe get a bow or 2 in there, but if you've got the war drum, you want to get into combat. And if you had anyone with a bow, if you took just one of these out, for instance, and you tried, not that warband, it'd have to be this one, wouldn't it? If we took one guy out and you tried to get an Easterling warrior with a bow, they're only D5. They're your weak link. That's what your opponent would then be targeting. It's like, I don't think you want bows in this list. It's one of the few where, even though you can take some honesty bows, I don't think I would. And back to your question there, Derry. Yes, I am planning on making a guide video for Army the Great Eye. As I say, I'm going to be running it at a few tournaments over the next 4 to 6 weeks. I've already got a few of them planned and submitted. So once I do that, I will I'll let you guys know and get it out, just based on what I find. Yes, you can. You can also get to 30 models with Host of the Dragon Emperor. With the 3 heroes and a drum. But then it's a bit of a trade-off as to what's doing better. And Dragon Emperor generally just sits behind the lines, not doing a huge amount. Excellent, Jan. Thank you. Try my best. And yeah, Ratabi's stuck at strength 4. So, all right, she can hold stuff up, and a Master of Battle is, don't get me started on a Master of Battle, it should not be a 3+. Bolg is a 5+. It's an absolute travesty. But yeah, I find the list is a lot more defensive, and to me, it always feels a little boring. The models look great, and people have some amazing paint schemes on Host of the Dragon Emperor. Brogue is an interesting one. He does well, but Dragon Emperor always just ends up stood at the back, not doing much. Ratabi's doing no damage. Yeah, there's Blade Wrath. Yes, there is, but Personally, I think Amber and 2 Dragon Knights can... All right, you're lower on might, but you don't need it as much. And they're a bit weak to magic, I suppose. But Amber is still one hell of a dangerous character to deal with. I think it's good. Both of them are good. But I think one's more fun than the other. So if they're both as competitive as each other, and one of them's more fun than the other, I know which one I'd pick. To answer your question, Aidan, as well, Camel's an interesting one because we have a look at his spells on here, and you can take him only on a horse in this list. He's got Strike, which is good to help him out a little bit if he needs it. He can cast Blade Wrath as well, but his Compel and Transfixes aren't great, being only on a 4+. And these other spells, well, he can barely cast them. His Essence Leech, he can get a will point if he's killed somebody, but if he's on a horse, he's only charging you with a maximum of 3 attacks. He's only 1 attack in the list. He can get up to 2 by using his rule. He can spend a will point to increase it, but he's not going to be reliably doing a lot of damage for you to get those back. He's not the best caster anyway, and he's very expensive. So it does give you options, like having a Compel in the list is really useful, but you'd reduce your numbers. I think maybe there's an argument at because he's a Valor. If you were looking at a 750 point list, I think that would be the way to go, because it gives you more warband space. You'd fill it out really nicely, I think. So yeah, if you just get the Black Dragons in there, I'll just do it really, really quick. We just get another 4 of those in. Easterlings, Halberd, 8 of those. 1 Easterling with a banner. And then we get the Cataphract. And go on, let's get a Wardrake in there. If you're going to 750 now, maybe with his you could try it with Dragon Cup. You could keep him as a bit of a reserve force if we needed. Maybe have 2 of them. I've not put a banner in the list, have I? But yeah, because it's so much more expensive. Like, I've only ended up at 30 models again. It's 150 points. So I've lost 55. I've added on 50 more points, but I've actually missed out on stuff now. So yeah, it's just very, very expensive. I think maybe at 800, maybe we could. Yeah, 35 at 800, it's still a bit low, isn't it? Not so sure. I'm going to go with no. Sorry, there you go. I'm just making you all dizzy. Anyway, it's 2 minutes past 11. Been online now for 3 hours. I'm not seeing any more requests come through from anyone here. So I think we'll end it there. Hope you've all enjoyed that, found it useful. And yeah, really enjoyed it myself. I'll try and make this a weekly thing. If you've enjoyed it as well and you're not already, you can subscribe, of course, on the channel. And upon request, I've recently just set up a Patreon as well yesterday. So there's a link to that in all my videos now. So yeah, if any of you feel so inclined, it's appreciated. I'd love to get more time to put into all this, and really enjoyed it all. So yeah, have a nice night, everyone, and I'll see you next week. I'll try and make it a regular thing. I'll post on YouTube about it, but I'll try and make this a recurring thing for Wednesday nights. Anyway, take care, everyone. See you later.